Hello, everyone. Welcome, one and all. Welcome back, or if you're joining me here for the first time, welcome just in general to the world of chasing labels. I guess one could say, because it's not only chasing labels, but it's the various other shows that we have here on the Chasing Labels Network, if you will. It's kind of a little old fashioned Chasing Labels Network, but welcome, one and all. I am your host, Andrew Cabral. This is spine number or episode number 183. And if you are new here to the channel, or if you're returning, I guess you've already heard this, but you're going to have to hear it again. This is the podcast slash YouTube channel slash YouTube live stream show where we talk about many of the announcements in the world of the boutique video world, the boutique home video releases, boutique home entertainment, however you want to phrase it. It is simply from the last 2 weeks or so, pretty much from the previous episode to this episode. It's not every single announcement in the boutique world of home video. It's just many of them, many companies and labels that you've probably heard of before, you probably have in your collection. I know I certainly have it in my collection. It's also things that I want to add to my collection eventually, or things I'm just interested in general. Perhaps you are as well. So thank you all for joining me. And yeah, before we dive into what we'll get into this episode, hopefully this will not be a 4-hour show. If you're a frequent listener here or watcher here for Chasing Labels, the moniker, the inside joke every single time is, will I keep this under 4 hours? Chances are I won't, because it hardly ever happens. There are a lot of things that we'll be going over tonight. We've got Vinegar Syndrome and their partner label announcements just happened a couple of days ago, just happened on February 1st. We will be diving into all of that. That will be the grand finale of the show. That will be at the very end. So hopefully you can stick around for that. But beforehand, we'll get into kind of the usual people that we talk about here on Chasing Labels: Arrow Video, Eureka Entertainment, several films that had not one but two announcements. Also Kino as well. And Umbrella had their May announcements, which they dropped literally as I recorded the previous episode here 2 weeks ago. They dropped it that day. So that will be probably what we first start off with. But before we do get into all of that, some sad news in the world of movies. We lost, honestly, one of the best, at least in my lifetime, in Catherine O'Hara, the actress known for both movies and television, as well as sketch comedy, getting her start, I believe, back on SCTV back in the late 70s, early 80s. That was, I believe, a Canadian sketch comedy TV series, which you can buy on DVD. That's been around for many years. But of course, she's probably most well known for being the mother in both Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Certainly, if you are of my generation, if you are a millennial, if you were born in the late 80s, grew up in the 90s, that's a movie you watched when it came out. Even those after, even Gen Z has grown up with that movie, and as well as the new generation. And it's really, those movies are kind of all-timers, if you will. You know, they're watched every single year during the holiday season, and Catherine O'Hara is really at the heart of that movie. Rewatching it recently this holiday season, Home Alone is not only about Macaulay Culkin, but it's about the mother character even more so, or at least in tandem with. You get a lot of cross-cutting between what's happening with, Macaulay Culkin's character Kevin at home, as well as his mother trying to get back to him. That's really balanced in that movie, more so than I remember. But of course, Catherine O'Hara was a person of many talents and was in many things. Of course, teaming up with Tim Burton in Beetlejuice. That's probably one of her more well-known roles. I have a couple of Catherine O'Hara films in my collection. I just thought up off the top of my head, of course. She actually, one of her earliest movie credits is a smallish role in Martin Scorsese's After Hours. Martin Scorsese's After Hours being uh, a an interesting movie from his filmography. It's one I've seen people both love and can't stand as well. It's such a unique movie. I think it's one of his most important films, actually, in his filmography, because it's the movie that I think reignited his love and passion for filmmaking. It really, really did. He was struggling to get funding for his passion project at the time, which was Last Temptation of Christ, which of course he would do after this. But he was struggling to get funding for that. He was going through a lot of personal things in his life, battling, honestly battling drug addiction and all kinds of personal issues. But this was the movie that gave Martin Scorsese a reignition of his filmmaking life. So we have to at least credit it for that. But Catherine O'Hara is in this movie, and I believe they were lifelong friends after this. Yeah, it says right here, Catherine O'Hara and John Hurt, who was also in Home Alone as well, is in this movie. So that's something definitely I would recommend people to watch at least. Of course, like I just mentioned, Beetlejuice is one that she's probably most famous for being. She was also in Beetlejuice, which is the sequel to this, which came out. Was it last year or the year before? Now 2025 and 2024 are starting to run in together for me. But either way, she was in that. She was in the sequel. She teamed up with Tim Burton a couple of times as well. But Beetlejuice, of course, and then where I know her a lot from, and where I think her comedic genius really, really flourished, was in the Christopher Guest movies, in several Christopher Guest movies, some of which I have here. I have Waiting for Guffman, which is excellent. There's also Best in Show, which is my favorite Christopher Guest movie. I've rewatched this so many times, and yeah, just there she is right there next to Eugene Levy. And then, of course, she was also in A Mighty Wind as well. She's also in the movie For Your Consideration, which also has a Warner Archive release on Blu-ray, which I have to get. That came out, I want to say last year or the year before. Yet again, 2024 and 2025 is starting to run together for me. But yeah, so really, really sad, incredibly sudden that Catherine O'Hara passed away. Um, she's still working. She was just in what was one of the biggest hit shows of last year in the studio, Apple TV, the Apple TV Plus series, the one with Seth Rogen and a bunch of other people in that movie. Kind of, it's like The Player, but in TV series form. About modern movie making, and it's kind of brilliant. Martin Scorsese's in the first episode; he's incredible in it. Every single episode, they bring in like a real life filmmaker or writer or somebody like that to play kind of a fictionalized version of themselves. Very much like Entourage, actually, now the more I think about it. But anywho, she was in that series. She was nominated for an Emmy for that series. Um, Absolutely just a gutting loss from Catherine O'Hara. Oh my goodness. I kind of still a little bit in shock actually, because it happened so recently and so suddenly. But my goodness, just a massive, massive loss of talent. Just a really fantastic, you know, actress and talent. Just wow, unbelievable. But moving on for there to more happy times, some happy things, a little bit of a movie collection update. Not much actually. The two weeks in between episodes goes by really, really fast, and sometimes you don't get as many things as you think you're gonna get or you hope you're gonna get. But anywho, a couple of things here. I did pick up Yorgos Lanthimos' newest film, and this is Bugonia. I actually do not have the one he did before this, which is Kinds of Kindness? Let me see. Hold on. Let me actually look up what it is. I think it's Kinds of Kindness. It's either Kinds of Kindness or Kind of Kindness. I sound like a broken record. Yeah, Kinds of Kindness. I still have to get that, but I picked up Bugonia because Bugonia was actually, it was in my top 25 favorites of last year. Now that I'm going back and looking at kind of 2025 films and finalizing that list and whatnot, this was in my top 25. It wasn't in my top 10, wasn't in my top 15, but it's in like that, like the honorable mention tier, I think, of favorites of last year. Incredible acting in this movie by Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons. Um, really, really good. This is a remake of Save the Green Planet, and having seen Save the Green Planet now and watched this, it's a really good remake, actually, really good remake of that movie. But yeah, this is Yorgos Lanthimos' newest film, 4K UHD of Bugonia. Something else I picked up here, which is from our friends over at New Wave Video. Our friend, um, I always forget everybody's name. Hold on, this is gonna drive me crazy. Let me see. Um, let's see. Bum. Oh, John Matthews. There you go, John Matthews. Um, in the first movie from New Wave Video in Rubber's Lover. This is their first release. I wanted to get this, of course, to support support them in their release. And get it also because it was starting to sell out already. And this one had only released a couple of months ago, I think towards late last year. So I wanted to definitely pick this up. If you like the movie Tetsuo the Iron Man, I talked about it when this was announced, and I talked about it after I watched it. If you like the movie Tetsuo the Iron Man, you'll be on at least on the wavelength of this movie. I think this movie is even crazier than Tetsuo the Iron Man. And Tetsuo the Iron Man is one of the most insane movies you will ever see. I think this movie is even crazier. And I mean that in a complimentary way. In a complimentary way. So this is Rubber's Lover, comes with the slipcover, a standard Blu-ray case. I think it may have reversible art. Yes, it does. Also comes with a booklet in here as well. And here's the disc. And yeah, it does have reversible sleeve art. Just pull this out a little bit, as you can see here. So let me put this away. Yeah, like I said, this movie is absolutely incredibly insane. I've got to get their other releases because I think they're actually going to have an announcement tomorrow of another release, of another upcoming release. So before I get too far behind in getting their releases, I gotta catch up a little bit because they already announced a sub label as well. So I have to get that, and yeah. So that is New Wave Video's first release in Rubber's Lover. And I got one more thing to show here, and then we can get into the bulk of the Chasing Labels show. It actually, I've completely forgot I bought this. I bought this during the Subscribers Week sales that they were having over at Vinegar Syndrome. Coincidentally, we're going to be talking about Vinegar Syndrome. This is their VSU release of the movie Daryl, which I talked about seemingly forever ago. I think I talked about this years ago when it was first announced that it was coming out. And I just hadn't gotten it since then. Of course, the longer you wait on Vinegar Syndrome, there is a chance of things selling out, but also there's a chance of things going on sale for very good prices. And sometimes you can catch a deal. And I was able to get this for a very decent price. And yeah, I really love their VSU releases. They're probably my favorite type of releases that they put out. Super deluxe, super elite packaging, really lots and lots of detail goes into these. They look incredible on a shelf, come with a nice, thickish book, and just really well put together. Really well put together. I've had several of the VSU line. My goal was to actually get like every VSU release when the line started. I have the Beastmaster, I have Six String Samurai, I have Cloak and Dagger, I have Roadhouse, and I think I have Southern Comfort as well. Yes. The problem is some of the movies they started to release weren't my favorites. For example, they released the movie Sidekicks, which is kind of a 90s ripoff of The Karate Kid, but nowhere near as good. And I was like, oh, that's okay. I can wait on that. Daryl was another one that I thought was, oh, it's okay, but I can wait on that. They released Showgirls, which it's a cult favorite for many people. It's a Paul Verhoeven film. That's long out of print, actually. That's a tough one to track down. But recently, they've released, oh, goodness. Oh, they released The Garbage Pail Kids, which is just awful. What an awful movie. Great release of an awful movie. They released Mac and Me, yet again, great release of an awful movie. So I was like, I think I'm gonna pick and choose which VSUs I'm gonna get. Yet again, wait for those sale prices. Here's the actual Blu-ray case of Daryl. An interesting, like, kind of family, sci-fi film from the '80s. I still have it in plastic. I like I said, I just got this like this week. So let me put this back, and then that is it. Actually, that is it. That's all I've got. Not much in the last 2 weeks. The 2 weeks goes by fast, but yeah. Let me. Yeah. Now we can get into what we have going here on Chasing Labels. I will be starting out with Umbrella because they do have their May releases from from this year. And like I said, they dropped them last time literally on the day I was recording, so I wasn't able to get to them. So I figured might as well pick up literally where I left off. But we do have some comments here. We do have some comments that I want to get to before they get too backed up. JB44 says, "Greetings, people of the Cineverse." I used to call our followers here chasers. I may bring that back. I mean, I didn't use it that much to the point where people were using it just casually, but that's a cool name, chasers. Um, JBL says, "Hopefully it's 6 hours." Hopefully not. As much as I would love to talk for 6 hours, I, I get just absolutely exhausted by like the 2 hour mark. Honestly, by the first hour goes by pretty fast. When you're recording a podcast or when you're doing any type of live streaming, I feel like the first hour goes by really quickly. Maybe the first two. It's kind of a blur. You can kind of you're just chit chatting. You're kind of running on adrenaline a little bit. You got all that energy cooking, but honestly, by after the 2 hour mark, my energy just collapses. I have also certain medical issues and whatnot. I suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome, so I get really really tired very really fast. Um, so that's also an issue for me, um, amongst other things. But anywho, not to get too into it, you don't care about that. Let's see. Acres of Movies says, "Yay, the best program around, best couch ever." Thank you. It's very comfortable. I'll be honest. I fall asleep on it every single day. I fall asleep. Well, for those of you who aren't watching at home, who are just listening to the audio, so I'm sitting on my couch. I do have movies piled up around me just because the shelves are overflowing as they always do. The TV is in front of me. Speakers are around me. You can see one which way? That way. You can see one up there. So there's one there. There's one over to the right. Two in front. Center speaker 5.1. The standard. The standard. But I fall asleep here every single night. I basically go till you're broke. Go till you're broke. But Acres of Movies is here. It says, Acres of Movies asks, "Did you enjoy Send Help? Favorite performance of McAdams, and where does this rank?" I did see Send Help. So in the middle of prepping for Chasing Labels, where I'm just watching like a bunch of different movies, I did set some time aside so I could see Sam Raimi's newest movie, Send Help, which is Sam Raimi is back. This movie has so many like little Easter egg Sam Raimi isms in there with like over the top gore and some dark humor and just weirdness. It so has that Sam Raimi flavor in it that I really liked a lot. And I think Rachel McAdams was excellent in the movie. I thought she was really fantastic. As for ranking of her performances, I'm no Rachel McAdams expert, so I would have to actually go. Let me take a quick look see at Rachel McAdams. She's been around for so long. Let me check her IMDb for a second, just so I can get a sense. I know she's been in like every type of movie. She's been in heavy dramas like The Notebook. She's been in teen angst stuff like Mean Girl. She's been in The Vow. She's been in Red Eye. What else was she? She was in the Eurovision, the song contest movie from a few years ago. I thought she's great in that. Game Night. Game Night is such an underrated modern comedy. that I feel like more people need to talk about. I remember seeing it in the theater in 2018, which is a rarity now. Comedies do not get the theatrical exhibition like they used to get. They really don't. Um, she's in she was of course she's been in MCU movies. She's been in she was in the second season of True Detective. I remember that. I believe it was it was the second season. Um, she's been in a lot. About Time I rewatched recently for movies down memory lane, and yeah, that's really good. Oh, speaking of which, so Movies Down Memory Lane, which is another show that we do here on the Chasing Labels Network, we taking a little bit of a break from that, but the most recent episode we talked about was Goodfellas, which is the Martin Scorsese's uh, all-time classic Goodfellas. Check that out if you haven't already. It's me, Steven, and our friend Dan all talking about Goodfellas for about an hour. So yeah, it's Martin Scorsese means a heck of a lot to a lot of people, including myself. Um, I remember Rachel McAdams being in Midnight in Paris. She's in the first Sherlock Holmes movie and the second. But let's see, Wedding Crashers. I don't. This is one of her better roles, I think. Certainly a role where she's leading the movie, kind of not by herself because Dylan O'Brien's in the film, but she's very commanding in the movie in Send Help. Send Help, I think, is really good. Um, Underrated movie that she did recently in 2023 is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Good movie. Check that out if you haven't seen it already. Um, but yeah, I love her in Game Night. I'll say that again. Let's see. Acres of Movies also says, also, if you feel comfortable, name your favorite three scenes in that. Personally, I love the movie. I think it's one of the best movies of the 2020s. Are you referring to, Send Help? I don't want to spoil the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it because it just came out. So I don't know if I want to go specific scenes. I want to say the longer the movie goes, the crazier and crazier it gets. And I think that's when the movie is at its best. The crazier it gets. It was giving me very much Drag Me to Hell vibes. Drag Me to Hell is the 2009 Sam Raimi movie. The longer that movie goes, the crazier and crazier it gets, and that's kind of how Send Help goes. Send Help goes as well. Um, Acres of Movies loves the movie Daryl. Day of the Locust. Yeah, Day of the Locust. So this is going to be. We're going to talk about Arrow's re-releasing Day of the Locust. They've actually already released it in a US version, and now they're releasing it in the UK. So it's going to have the same special features, but so we'll go over them. Um, what are Phantom and Body of the Evidence special features? We'll go over that as well. The Phantom is actually getting an audio commentary, and I think that we're going to be getting an interview with the director as well as Billy Zane. I'm gonna. We'll go over it. We'll go over it. Acres of Movies also ask. Also, name of the fans would be cool couchers or beige couchers. That's interesting. I do like that. I feel like most people watch movies from their couch. A lot of people watch movies in bed. Obviously, people watch movies in the theater. I feel like a lot of people also watch movies from chairs, like recliners. I feel like couch is like the universal community seating arrangement for watching movies at home. Um, favorite movie with scenes in Rhode Island. I know Fresh Horses with Molly Ringwald and Andrew McCarthy had some scenes there. That's a really interesting story. So there's been a lot of movies shot in Rhode Island. The beginning of Dumb and Dumber is shot in Rhode Island. That's always fun. They drive on the highway here. Their apartment is like in a seedy area downtown. Um, Gee, what interesting is it? I'm trying to think of movie shot. I mean, um, I think Meet Joe Black was shot in Rhode Island. I believe also the 1970s The Great Gatsby with Robert Redford was shot in Rhode Island. I think that was shot in Newport. Um, as for more modernish things, I think Dan in Real Life, the movie with Steve Carell, that was shot in Rhode Island. Um, Elle McKay, which just came out, the James L. Brooks film, shot in Rhode Island. J.J. Abrams' next movie shot in Rhode Island. M. Night Shyamalan's next movie shot in Rhode Island. Um, the TV series The Gilded Age, parts of it is shot in Rhode Island. I think I can't remember which parts. Um, Yeah, that's shot in Rhode Island. That was shot in Rhode Island. Amistad, Steven Spielberg's Amistad. There's a couple of scenes shot in Rhode Island. A couple of exteriors they used for the State House downtown, in downtown Providence. That was used. I know it's not answering your question directly, but that's just off the top of my head without doing actual research. Let's see. Um, Oh, really? Acres of Movies really love Send Help. For me, Send Help might be close to career best for all. It's certainly a return to similar form for Sam Raimi. It's certainly that. It's certainly that. Like it's going back to Drag Me to Hell. His foray into um, the MCU. You can only do so much. Although his movie, which I actually do have over here somewhere. It's actually in the stacks. It's in the pile here. Um, the multi which was Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, had some Sam Raimi isms in it. Like it had like reanimated corpses doing stuff. It had weird macabre things going on in it, which you can get away with when you're dealing with Doctor Strange. You're dealing with magic and that type of mystical world, but you can only do so much in the MCU prism. You can't go crazy like. Let's see. Um, do I want a Goodfellas prequel or sequel? No. Or Casino sequel? Um, no. Interesting. In movies down memory lane, we talked about the Lufthansa heist and doing a movie just on the Lufthansa heist. I don't think we'll really, you know, need that. That information feels like more interesting in documentary form. Um, Acres of Movies also loves the movie Red Eye, which a lot of people are, talking about once again. I feel like Red Eye, every couple of years, people start talking about that movie. And it's a really tight, good thriller with Rachel McAdams and Cillian Murphy. Uh, yeah, uh, Acres of Movies wants a Dark Man Legacy sequel with Liam Neeson. Um, Day of the Locust, Wild Plot. It really does. The ending of Day of the Locust is kind of nuts. Kind of nuts. Well, Acres of Movies ask, would you rather have a live action Earthworm Jim movie or a live action DuckTales movie? Daniel Craig Scrooge McDuck Origins. Um, so when I'm thinking of live action DuckTales, I'm either thinking of of Howard the Duck, which is not the best thing to think of, and also thinking of the live action Cats movie they did a few years ago. Um, I with the Tom Hooper movie, and neither of those things would be good. I don't think you need to do to do a live action DuckTales movie. I would love DuckTales to come back. I said this before here. I loved their new animated series that they did a couple of years ago. I thought that was excellent. It was actually very much in line with the feeling of the old comic books of Scrooge McDuck and Donald Duck and the nephews and the adventures they were going on and all kinds of stuff. You got all kinds of backstory with the nephews' mother and what happened with her and all kinds of stuff. I thought it was incredible. And they worked in other things from DuckTale, Launchpad McQuack and Gizmo Duck, Darkwing Duck, all this kind of cool stuff they worked into that series. I hated that they canceled it after 3 seasons. I really hated that. So Earthworm Jim would be nuts in a live action form. Because the movie says, I had no idea Oliver Ryan. That is amazing. Yeah, they shoot a lot of movies here because they used to get really good tax breaks. I don't know if they still do. That is what lures movie productions to certain states. If you wonder why a lot of the MCU movies were made in Georgia or Atlanta, it's because the state would give them such good tax breaks, such good like deals, or like rebates and things like that, so they could, the production would be cheaper there. That's also why they shoot a lot of things in Canada. It's cheaper to shoot in Canada than it is to shoot in the United States. That's why you see a lot of you see like Toronto will double for New York sometimes. You'll see Vancouver double for Los Angeles sometimes. They don't look anything alike, but they'll do that. If you're familiar with the old WB network shows or the CW shows, they all shot in like Vancouver. It's like Supernatural, Smallville, um, a lot of the Sci-Fi Channel shows, Battlestar Galactica. I believe they shot in like Vancouver as well. It's just cheaper to shoot there. It really is. But that's a whole movie production side of things. But let me get into what we're here to discuss because we're already 30 minutes into this. So let's talk about Umbrella. Let's go down to Australia. Speaking of going into another country, so they have their May of 2026 titles. Excuse me, and they have four titles to announce. They have the movie Matador, which is the Pedro Almodovar film from 1986. I talked about it last time because not only is Umbrella releasing an edition of Matador, Radiance Films is as well. So you can get the Radiance Films release, or you can get the Umbrella release of Matador, which is the Pedro Almodovar film from 1986. Antonio Banderas is in it. It's really good. So there's a super collector's edition that you can get from them with like a poster and art cards, and I believe it's coming with a book as well. But let me get into it, actually. So 48-page book of behind the scenes material. You've got original artwork, rigid slipcase. You got original artwork, uh, a regular slipcase, which goes over the Blu-ray case or 4K case in this situation. Or is it Blu-ray? No, 4K. A3 reversible poster, limited edition numbered release, a sexy, stylish, and highly original psychosexual black comedy from visionary Oscar-winning writer-director Pedro Almodovar, one of my favorites, and featuring a star-making performance from Antonio Banderas. Matador is a blood-dripping celebration of the darker side of human nature with an unflinching look at the link between sex, death, and religion. Yes, okay, we'll go with that. All right, yeah. So let's see what we have here for extras. Um, there's a new audio commentary with podcasters, writers, and film analysts, the wives Colangelo. There's a new blood relations author Stephen Thrower on Almodovar and the horror film. Matador is very important to me. Actor Assumpta Serna interviewed by Entrefocus, and then we have Dangerous Passions, LGBTQ plus filmmakers reflect on Matador. Yes. So like I said, I'm a gigantic fan of Pedro Almodovar. I have a section of his in my collection. I need to get some of his more recent releases to kind of update that collection. And I need to get Matador. Actually, I don't own Matador at all. Several of his movies have been released by Criterion, as well as primarily Sony Pictures Classics. Sony Pictures Classics has released a bunch of his movies: Volver, Broken Embraces, um, oh, goodness, The Skin I Live In. That's a movie and a half. But like I mentioned when I talked about Matador before, when Radiance was putting it, I think it was actually on the previous episode. Gigantic fan. I've done a whole video about the Pedro Almodovar films I have in my collection. I need to do an update on that eventually. But yeah, Matador. If you've ever seen a Pedro Almodovar film, highly recommend his work. Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down is a Criterion release. All About My Mother is an amazing movie. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Pedro Almodovar. So, moving on from there, there's a box set. It's called Out There by Toei box set. Movies from 1978, 2006, 2007, and 2007 as well. Let me actually get a list of what's in this. What's in this set actually? So we've got Kiji Fukasaku's A Message from Space. We have Yo-Yo Girl Cop, which is Kenta Fukasaku, which is Kenji Fukasaku's son. We have, I believe, we have the movie Xed Hair Extensions from 2007 as well. Then we have the movie X Cross from 2007 too, as well. I think X Cross is Ciano Sono's film. I should probably look that up before I just start making guesses. just I hate like guessing things and then being wrong. But you never. Okay, maybe that's not how you spell that. Okay, let me see. Maybe I'm not spelling that correctly. No, that's how you spell it. Nope, I think so. X Cross is Kenta Fukasaku, and then I think let me look up the other one. Let me look up Hair Extensions because I want to make sure I credit the right directors for the right things. Plus I don't want to give people the wrong information. Yep, Sion Sono did X Hair Extensions. Okay. Anywho, it's a 4 film box set uh, from Toei. Let me read up on it. So, Kinji Fukasaku's A Message from Space launches the launches the set in operatic fashion, a wildly ambitious sci-fi epic that fuses space opera with samurai myth, international star power, and the director's trademark intensity. Okay, this movie, which I actually did see, this is the only one I saw in this box set. It's like Japanese Star Wars, but in way more insane. Like it's like Japanese Star Wars space opera, but it's like it was the highest budgeted Japanese movie ever made up until 1978. Like they went like to the extreme to kind of capitalize on the fervor and the popularity of Star Wars, which I think a lot of studios did afterward. Obviously, here in the US, we got a lot of sci-fi after Star Wars came out. After Star Wars came out, they decided to make Star Trek the motion picture to kind of capitalize on people wanted to be into more sci-fi, and then of course you got all kinds of 80s things and TV series. Ironically, as A Message from Space also became a TV series as well. So there you go. But A Message from Space is like Japanese Star Wars samurai in space, which Star Wars took a lot from the samurais and Akira Kurosawa and all that stuff. But this is different. Like, there's like, I can't even explain it to people. It's kind of nuts. Uh, let me get a better, because I'm not explaining this well at all. Um, and it's not even like it's not easy to explain without people actually seeing this. Hmm. Hold on. That's not even a good. I'm gonna go to my letterbox. I went to IMDb, and the synopsis on there is of no help whatsoever. It's 1 line long, and it's not helpful to give people a sense of what this movie actually is. Okay, let's see. A peaceful planet of Jelusia has been nearly wiped out by the Gavinos, whose leader takes orders from his mother rather than the emperor. Uh, King Kaiba sends out 8 Leob holy seeds, each to be received by a chosen one to defend the Gavanas. Each recipient, ranging from hardened General Garuda to Gavana Prince Hans to young Terrans, Mela, Keto, and Aaron all have different reactions to being chosen. So basically, there's this planet that's been taken over by this evil empire, essentially, and these like glowing seeds are sent out to find these intergalactic warriors to basically come and save them. It's a little bit of Seven Samurai ish, a little bit of Star Wars ish. Save me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Come on. I mean, we you can see the parallels there, and they have to come together to save this planet. Um, at one point, this planet gets moved to Earth, and Earth gets threatened. It's a weird movie. It's such a weird movie. Um, um, let's see what we've got here in terms of special features. Like I said, I didn't get to see the other movies: Yo Yo Girl Cop, Hair Extension, and X Cross. Um, but let's see what we have here for extra features. The 48-page book of behind the scenes material and essays by Jonathan Clements, Dr. Jonathan Root, and Pierre Jan van Hoek. Uh, Custom illustration, rigid case by Colin Murdoch, 8 replica lobby cards. There's 2 reversible posters. So Message from Space is getting an audio commentary by author Patrick Macias. Uh, and then there's Galleons in Space, director Kenta Fukasaku on his father's film Message from Space, and Japanese theatrical trailer. Yo Yo Girl Cop is End of an Era, director Kenta Fukasaku on Yo Yo Girl Cop. David Michael Brown on Spinning Around with Yo-Yo Girl Cop, The Making of Yo-Yo Girl Cop, Yo-Yo Girl Cop Q&A from 2006. There's a press conference at the Tokyo Film Studio from 2006. There's an interview with actors Yuki Salta and Aya Matsura. Archival cast and director interviews. And then for hair extensions, there's an audio commentary with author Sam Deegan. Bad Hair Day special effects guru Yoshihiro Nishimura on the movie. Robert Edwards on hair horror and the commodification of body in the movie. Behind the scenes, deleted scenes, My Hair music video, trailers, TV spots. Then for X Cross, there's a commentary with author Patrick Macias. Cut Above the Rest, director Kenta Fukasaku on X Cross. Armed and Dangerous, Robert Edwards on the rise of weaponized women in Japanese genre cinema. The Making of X Cross, deleted scenes, cast interviews, Ashikara Village special language segment, and that is it. So that is the Out Here by Toei box set. Out There by Toei box set. Sorry. So let's move over to Uzumaki, also known as Spiral from the year 2000. Now, this is a crazy movie. So people keep seeing these, people keep getting obsessed with it because they keep seeing spirals and they end up falling into like a trance. I'll read this little description here. A cult body horror oddity unlike anything you've seen before, Uzumaki spins viewers into a never-ending nightmare spiral of obsession and dread. Adapted from Junji Ito's legendary manga, Uzumaki fuses surreal visuals, unsettling humor, creeping terror into a hypnotic fever dream that has haunted audiences worldwide. In the quiet seaside town of Kurozu, strange occurrences begin to plague its residents, snail-like mutations, twisted behaviors, and an unshakable fixation on spirals. As the town descends into madness, schoolgirl Kiri and her friend Shuichi struggle to escape the tightening grip of an ancient, inescapable curse. That's what happens. They keep seeing spirals and they keep like falling into trances, which is all around this curse that's going on. It's a crazy, crazy movie. It is based off of the Junji Ito manga. Junji Ito did insane graphic mangas that you can read to this day. Just crazy work. Kind of surprised they adapted it. Kind of surprised they attempted to adapt it, to be honest. But special features wise, the collector's edition is a 48-page book, custom illustration, rigid case, custom illustration slipcase, 8 art cards, reversible poster. There's a new audio commentary with critic and Japanese cinema expert Amber T. Audio commentary with author and filmmaker Elijah Thomas. The man behind the spiral, interview with manga artist Junji Ito. Oh, that's cool. Sounds of Kurozu Cho, interview with composer Keiichi Suzuki. Uzumaki manga to film comparison by Ruben Pajaran Pereira. The Spiraling Madness of Uzumaki, video essay by Cinema Nippon. There's an audio commentary by the director. Behind the scenes of Uzumaki and Mr. Saito's camcorder footage. Yeah, that is Uzumaki or Spiral. I think Uzumaki translates to Spiral. And then we have this movie called Diabolic, which I did not get to see because I couldn't find it actually. Because it's from 2025. Sometimes they're not. Those newer movies are not even streaming yet. What's also crazy, I see this happen from time to time here on Chasing Labels. There will be Blu-ray announcements for movies that haven't even been in the theaters yet, and they already have Blu-ray announcements. So you can't even, there's no way to see them. At least not yet. Let's see. Evil Doesn't Forgive in the new Australian horror starring Elizabeth Cullen, John Kim, and Mia Chalice. Diabolic is a uniquely unsettling horror that reminds us that horror works best when it's about what people do to themselves in the name of faith. Let's see. The description is 17-year-old Elise undergoes a baptism for the dead ritual with the FLDS, a Mormon offshoot where young women are baptized on behalf of the deceased. Sounds insane to me. Extras for this movie are limited edition slipcase, double-sided poster, audio commentary with director Daniel J. Phillips, audio commentary with the director and cinematographer Michael Tessari, audio commentary with director, sound supervisor Hamish Keane, composer Will Spartalis, and editor Sean Lahiff. So 3 audio commentaries. And then there's also a promotional featurette. So that's the movie Diabolic. I didn't get to see it. So there you go. So one more time from the top, Umbrella's May releases for 2026, Pedro Almodovar's Matador, out there by Toei box set. We have Uzumaki, also known as Spiral, and we have Diabolic. All right. Now, before we move on, do we have let's see. I was checking comments. That's interesting. So Acres of Movies asked, Kino made One Good Cop. The author of Cocktail directed that. Do you think Cocktail will go to Kino? I want features with Bobby McFerrin and discuss the whole soundtrack. Also get good commentary. Oh, I'm actually curious who, because I know Cocktail has a Blu-ray release. I'm curious if it's still in print and who puts it out. So let's see. Cocktail had a Blu-ray release back in 2012. That's a while ago. It's Disney / Buena Vista. Okay. Will it get a Kino release? I would love for it to get a Kino release. It feels like a movie Kino would put out. Whether Disney license it to them, license it to them, I do not know. I honestly do not know. I'm actually surprised Disney hasn't re-put it out yet. And let's see, came out in 1988, so the anniversary, 40 years will be in 2028. I know Disney's slowly putting out a lot of their stuff in 4K. Last year we've got Tron Legacy, we got Master and Commander, we got Tombstone. I think those were all Disney releases. So I'm surprised they haven't capitalized on the whole Tom Cruise career by putting out Cocktail again. I'm kind of surprised. But I would like to see it. I would like to see it. Let's see. Let me close the panel let me move over to Indicator, because Indicator only had 2 announcements. And actually also gives me room to mention that recently Indicator had a sale at Barnes & Noble, which just ended yesterday, actually. They also had a sale over the weekend of their out of print sale, where some of the things that have been out of print, they just find more stock of them, whether it be from stores or from warehouses long thought empty. I don't know how it works actually, but they had a little sale on their website there. I did pick up 3 releases from the sale, the 50% off sale they were having at Barnes & Noble. They're in the mail, essentially. They're 3 Jean Rollin films. I've been trying to get all of their releases of Jean Rollin's Fantastique films and all the films he directed. They put out about a dozen of them so far. I've got most of them, but I'm a little bit behind. So I'm catching up slowly with all of those releases. So that is in the mail. I think that's it. Yeah. So moving on to Indicator, we've got, hold on, let me close out this comment here first, and then we'll move on to Indicator. So 2 movies, The Grapes of Death and The Living Dead Girl. Excuse me. So I have actually seen both of these movies already. So luckily, it saved me some time on preparing for this episode. But let's talk about The Grapes of Death. First of all, the cover art for this is kind of brilliant. Go to powerhousefilms.co.uk and you can see the cover art for this release, and it's fascinating. Yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. So this is we spoke of Jean Rollin. Actually, I think these are both Jean Rollin films. There's the connection. There's the connection. That's why I've seen these before. So a couple of years ago, there was a Jean Rollin documentary done by our friend Kat Ellinger, I think was part of the making of it. And I wanted to watch as many Jean Rollin films as I could in preparation for watching the documentary, as well as discussing the documentary with her when she came on here on Chasing Labels. So I watched a bunch of Jean Rollin films, like a ton of them. And that's how I got into Jean Rollin. And Now that's why I've seen both of these releases already. It's all coming together now. It's all coming together. So The Grapes of Death finds cult director Jean Rollin returning to the horror genre to create a unique blend of zombie movie and contagion thriller starring Marie-Georges Pascal and Felix Martin and Serge Marquand, a young woman, Elizabeth, travels deep into winemaking country only to find the locals bearing horrific signs of an infection and behaving violently. Teaming up with Paul and Lucienne, she discovers a deadly pesticide is transforming those who drink the local wine into murderous zombies. There you go. Also featuring regular Jean Roland collaborator Jean-Pierre Bourgeois, uh, oh boy, I can't. Pergilia, and in her first straight acting role, the legendary Brigitte Leahy. Oh boy, I'm ruining it here. The Grapes of Death is a blood-soaked classic of fantastique cinema. Yes, the fantastique cinema, for those of you who do not know, and for those of you who have not heard me talk about fantastique cinema, it's a blend of different genres. It's horror, it's erotic, it's drama, throw some comedy in there, if you will. But it's all about like mood and tone. A lot of fog machines going on. It's more about like the mood and the aesthetic and the vibe than it is actually about plot, at least from what I've observed so far. And that's the fantastic. It's such a blend of multiple genres into one. And Jean Roland was a master at it. But for this release here, for The Grapes of Death, which is a great title, playing on the whole, you know, John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath, it's playing on that title. Uh, Nothing to do with The Grapes of Wrath plot wise in any way, shape, or form. But this release is a new 4K HDR restoration from the original camera negative by Powerhouse Films themselves. It's presented in Dolby Vision HD in HDR. Original mono audio commentary here by Sylvia Christel from Emmanuel to Chabrol, author Jeremy Rishi. Um, there's also Jean Roland introduces The Grapes of Death from 1998. In Vino Veritas, documentary on the making of The Grapes of Death by Roland's personal assistant, Daniel Gouillet, featuring an interview with co-writer Jean-Pierre Bourgeois and contributions from writer-director Jean Roland, actor Brigitte Leahy, and key collaborator Natalie Perry. A new presentation of 2002 interview with Jean Roland and Leahy. Um, Bloody Lips and Iron Roses, career-spanning German documentary about Jean Roland. Interview with Jean Roland from 2007. That runs 50 minutes long. Wow. That's from Montreal Fantasia Film Festival. Uh, wow, that's a heck of a pull of a special feature. Critical appreciation by author and film historian Stephen Thrower. Original French and German theatrical trailers, image gallery, English subtitles, of course. A limited edition exclusive 80-page book. Worldwide premiere on 4K, limited edition of 10,000 numbered units, 6,000 4K UHDs, 4,000 Blu-rays, both UK and US release. So obviously the 4K is what I'm more interested in. So that is region free. Let me go check the Blu-ray. There is a US Blu-ray. Okay, so never mind. So there's a UK 4K, a US 4K, a UK 4K, and a US Blu-ray. No, yeah, hold on. I'm already starting to lose my mind. So there's a UK 4K, a US 4K, a UK Blu-ray, and a US Blu-ray. So all regions are covered. All regions are covered. Similarly to the next movie I'm going to talk about, The Living Dead Girl. This also has you can get it in any format, A or B, or region free if you get the 4Ks. But so this movie is The Living Dead Girl. Now, when did this movie come out? 1982. Let's see. A spillage of toxic waste causes Catherine to rise from the dead with an insatiable taste for blood. Returning to her family home, she is reacquainted with her childhood friend, Helene, who tries to understand Catherine's predicament and becomes her accomplice with tragic consequences. Oh, interesting. So, brand new 4K HDR restoration from the original camera negative by Powerhouse Films. It's also in Dolby Vision HDR, original French mono soundtrack, audio commentary with director Jean Roland, audio commentary with film historian Kevin Lyons and Jonathan Rigby, selected scenes audio commentary with actor Francoise Blanchard, introduction by Francoise Blanchard, Jean Roland introduces the Living Dead Girl, new edit of a 2005 interview with Jean Roland on the Living Dead Girl, the director in conversation at Montreal's Fantasia Film Festival, new edit of a 2005 interview with actor Francoise Blanchard, an interview with Jean-Pierre Bourgeois, a new edit of a 2012 interview with the Jean Roland regular, a new edit of a 2005 archival interview with Jean-Pierre Bourgeois. Dang, there's a lot of interviews on these. Holy heck. Benoit Lestang, new edit of a 2012 documentary featuring interviews with the young special effects artist. Music by Philippe Daram. It says EW edit of a 2005 interview with Daram. Dead or Alive, updated documentary on the now lost English language American cut of The Living Dead Girl. Jean Roland at Fantasia, expansive documentary recording of Roland's time as a special guest at the festival. Alternate scenes, original theatrical trailer, image gallery, new and improved English subtitles. Limited edition 80-page book with new essays by Will Sloan and a bunch of other people. World premiere on 4K, 10,000 units, all the good stuff. Obviously, like I said, the 4K is region free. There's a UK Blu-ray, there's a US Blu-ray, as well as a UK 4K as well. So that is two Jean Roland films, The Grapes of Death and The Living Dead Girl, put out by Indicator. Yeah, more Jean Roland. I'm into it. Of course, I'm trying to get all the releases. So luckily, I picked up 3 during the sale that just happened at Barnes and Noble. So now I'm not too far behind. We do have some more comments here to keep up with. Let's see. Acres of Movies is excited for Uzumaki. Have you seen Matango? I have not. The island is alive with mushrooms and eats people. I have not, but that sounds insane. I have to say here, the comment here by Thomas Armenta 5520 is speaking my language. I want this probably more than many releases. He says here, Gross Point Blank on 4K. I would love that. That's another Disney release, a Disney released Blu-ray that I think desperately needs a re-release of some kind. Whether it's a 4K or remastered Blu-ray, something like that, I would love for that to happen. I love the movie Gross Point Blank. I've been wishing for that for a while. Acres of Movies, you ask here all the time if they're, if you want sequels to something. I would love a sequel to Gross Point Blank. I really, really would. The movie's well over 20 years old now. Heck, it's getting close to 30 at this point. When did Gross Point Blank come out? Was it in 1996 or was it later than that? Looks 1997. 1997. So next year will be the 30th anniversary of Gross Point Blank. Perfect time to put out a 4K of this movie. The movie stars Minnie Driver as well as John Cusack, Alan Arkin's in the movie, Dan Aykroyd's in the movie, Joan Cusack's in the film. If you've never seen Gross Point Blank, it's pretty great. So it's a movie about Martin Blank, who is a freelance hitman portrayed by John Cusack, and he ends up having to do a hit in his hometown, and he goes back just in the time. He doesn't have that's not really what happens. So his therapist basically gives him instructions to go back to his hometown to attend his 10-year high school reunion. And while he's there, uh, things kind of escalate regarding his job. No, yeah, and it's great. And he gets back in touch with his old high school girlfriend, in Minnie Driver, who's still living there, and it's great. It's so great. It's great. It's great comedy, great character stuff in there. Um, it all works so well. But I would love for that to happen. Acres of Movie says, "Would you rather go on a dark ride for The Matrix or The Edge?" The Matrix. The Matrix. Um, I haven't seen The Commitments from 1991, Acres of Movies, so I don't have any opinion on it. Let's see. Hmm, interesting. So Acres of Movies asked, have the lady from Coda that played Marley Matlin's daughter, would she be good for the Marley Matlin biopic? Cast Ryan Gosling as abusive William Hurt. Interesting. I was actually thinking of Coda the other day. So Coda, which is uh, the movie that was produced by Apple, which won Best Picture a couple of years ago, finally got a 4K release last year. Finally came out. Super under the radar. I don't even know if it has any special features, but it's actually out on disc. So this idea that, movies that are Apple TV originals or are produced by Apple get theatrical releases don't get physical media releases, kind of not true. Kind of not true. And we just saw that with Martin Scorsese's movie as well. Killers of the Flower Moon is getting a release from Criterion. So slowly but surely, these um the streamers are letting their movies get physical media releases. I mean, it's happened before. They're just rare, and they don't happen enough to satisfy the cravings of us movie collectors. Let's see here. But that does sound like an interesting idea. Acres of Movies. I don't know if they would do a Marley Matlin biopic quite yet. I don't know. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, they do biopics about everybody, so why not Marley Matlin? Um, Acres Movie says, in an alternate dimension, there's an Adam Sandler, Pam Grier starring Homer and Marge in a Simpson live action movie. Okay. Ed Harris or Gary Oldman as Montgomery Burns. William H. Macy would be a good Smithers. You got to do Ed Harris. Yeah, Ed Harris. I feel like he look like yeah, he looks like he would be a good stern, like cold, direct Mr. Burns. And why not William H. Macy as Smithers? He could play that character. Yeah, he could play that character, no problem. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Early Oscar prediction next year. This is also from Acres of Movies. Says Josephine getting some award nomination. It's about someone witnessing a crime. Channing Tatum, another good performance. I think it might be his best one. Will you see it? So recently we had the Sundance Film Festival has gone on. The Sundance Film Festival happening for the last time in Park City, Utah. It's now going to be moving to Boulder, Colorado for the foreseeable future. Anywho, one of the biggest movies there, or at least one of the ones that got a lot of the critical buzz about being very, very good, is this movie called Josephine. And I really, really want to see it. I know people who have seen it. And what's interesting with Sundance Film Festival is some of the movies you can watch digitally, or you can pay to watch them digitally, or you buy a ticket and you get to watch them digitally at home. I always try to look into it to see how expensive that is, and I didn't do that this year. I guess I'll just wait until it comes out later on. I'll just rely on people that I know that saw them, and everybody who I've seen on, whether it be YouTube or people I know on Facebook who saw the movie, say it's excellent. And yeah, I really want to see it. I don't know who's picked it up for distribution yet, so I don't know when it's going to be coming out. Hopefully this year. Hopefully somebody who has a good distribution model picked it up. So I'll check up on that actually afterwards. Um, what movie always makes you amused? Oh my goodness. Let me take a gander over at my comedy section. Um, there's so many movies that always make me laugh. There's movies that I think about that make me laugh. But it's what's interesting is that there are certain lines in movies that are funny that aren't supposed to be funny. Um, like there's like for example, this is gonna sound messed up. American Psycho is way more of a comedy than it probably should be. Because because it's so horrific and satirical, um, that it's funny. So, like, that's a movie that one often thinks of, which is kinda crazy once you think about I wrote a whole paper on, like, Patrick Bateman he's a satire about male masculinity in the '80s. He really, really is. Even just male masculinity in general, he is. And that's kind of fascinating to me, but there are so many movies that I just think about and laugh out loud about. Um, Now yeah, it's crazy, now I can't even think of them. Now I can't even think of them. I think about them all the time, but when the lights are on, the camera's on, your mind goes completely blank. Um, oh man, there's a lot. There's too many. There's too many. I'm blank. I'm freezing up on you guys. Um, okay. I don't know if Acres of Movies is asking me about some really good upcoming releases or really good current releases, but February has some really good releases upcoming, especially from Arrow Video. I was actually just talking about this earlier with with our friend Scott Saslow because he worked on the layout for this. Michael Crichton's Westworld is getting a 4K and Blu-ray release from Arrow. That's a fun like 70s sci-fi movie. Because I think, and I was just mentioning to him that the HBO series, which was a big hit, its first and second season, got a lot of people to go back and watch the original movie. Excalibur is coming out really really soon. Actually, Excalibur's coming out really really soon. That's something that I'm looking forward to most definitely. Yeah, Excalibur's coming out February 24th. Uh, I'm circling that on my list. I know the Pink Panther movies from Kino just came out. I heard there's some issue with those, so I have to look into that. But yeah, that's coming out this month. Criterion is releasing Network. That's coming out. That's definitely something I'm looking forward to for this month as well. Um, we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna talk about this later. I'll plug it now and I'll plug it later. Tomorrow we're potentially going to be a live stream of a couple of Criterion releases of 310 to Yuma, the original Delmer Daves film, as well as the Coen Brothers, The Man Who Wasn't There. This is the Coen Brothers neo noir homage film, starring Billy Bob Thornton. Frances McDormand's in this film as well. Um, yeah, this is a really nice release of a really underrated Coen Brothers film, in my opinion. I believe this is one of the films they did right before No Country for Old Men. So this kind of gets sandwiched in and lost in between two of their bigger films. I'll talk about it tomorrow when we do it. In Oh Brother Where Art Thou and No Country for Old Men, and in the middle there is this movie, The Man Who Wasn't There. That's coming out this month as well. Uh, but yeah, let's see. Let me get on. Let me move on to what we're going to talk about next here. Um, it's let me see where else I want to go. I'm going to be saving Arrow and Eureka for a little later. I did Umbrella, did Indicator. Actually, I may go to Eureka right now. You know what? Why not? We'll go to Eureka right now. Let me just go pull up the Eureka releases. There's only two of them, and they're two box sets, and I didn't get to see much on them, so I don't have a lot to say about them. Actually, that's not true. They're not both box sets. One's a box set. It's the um, Adventure Calls, Carl May at CCC, and Danger Diabolic. So Danger Diabolic actually got a 4K release from Kino last year, I believe, and it's now getting a Eureka release. So let me pull up the info on this. Let's see. Danger Diabolic. I have to actually click on it for me to go to the web page. Yep, these are the Eureka April releases. So Danger Diabolic. I talked about this when it was announced from Kino. This is an adaptation of a comic book, actually. So in 1962, Italian comic book writers Angela and Luciano Giussani invented Fumetti Neri, Black Comics, with Diabolic, a wildly popular crime series starring an elusive master thief. Within just a few years, the comic was adapted into a psychedelic feature film, released internationally as Danger Diabolic, directed by a true maestro of Italian genre cinema in Mario Bava. Yeah, Mario Bava, who did, goodness gracious, Blood and Black Lace, um, uh, Black Sabbath, a maestro of like 1960s and 70s Italian horror films, really. And so he directed this feature film adaptation of Danger Diabolic. The premise is thus: somewhere in Europe, Inspector Ginkgo is the police officer charged with overseeing the transportation of $10 million from a bank, determined to stop it from falling into the hands of the infamous thief known as Diabolic and his accomplice. But despite his best efforts, Ginkgo fails. Diabolic nabs the cash before setting his sights on stealing a priceless emerald and 20 tons of gold, embarking on a crime wave that will see him make a mockery of both the police and the government officials they answer to. Designed to capitalize on the success of CCC Films' Dr. Mabuse's sequels, Andre Hornbell's Phantom Watch trilogy, and Harry Alan Towers' Fu Manchu series, Danger Diabolic is Italy's contribution to the popular cycle of supervillain movies that swept Europe in the 1960s and a key entry in Mario Bava's filmography. The Masters of Cinema series is proud to present this landmark of Italian genre cinema on 4K Blu-ray and Blu-ray for the first time in the UK. Like I said, it got a US release here on 4K and Blu-ray last year. So it's a 2-disc edition. 4K restoration of the film by Paramount Pictures, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film, English and Italian audio options, alternate English audio track originally recorded for the film's Laserdisc release. Let's see. Optional English subtitles, audio commentary with film historians Troy Haworth and Nathaniel Thompson, audio commentary with film historian Tim Lucas, audio commentary with actor John Philip Law, moderated by film historian Tim Lucas, Criminal Intent, new discussion of the origins and evolution of Diabolic from page to screen, with Leon Hunt, author of the Cultographies volume on Danger Diabolic, Radical Behavior, new video essay on Danger Diabolic, as anti-establishment pop culture by Italian genre cinema expert Rachel Nisbet. That's a lot going on here. From Fumetti to Film, archival featurette, body moving music video by the Beastie Boys, teaser trailer, theatrical trailer, limited edition hardbound set to 2,000 copies, limited edition hard case with package designed by Nick Wrigley, limited edition 60-page book featuring essays and such, like we all know. I really want this release, actually, more so than the Kino release. It seems like this has a lot more in it. Let me check, actually. Just since we're here, we might as well do it right. Because I do not remember off the top of my head what the Danger Diabolic release had in terms of special features for Kino. But I don't think it can be all this. I don't think it is. So, no, it's not. Good God, no, it's not. So it's got 2 out of the 3 commentaries. It's got the commentary with Tim Lucas. And it's got the Troy Haworth and Nathaniel Thompson one as well. Well, it's got the one. So there's a commentary by Tim Lucas on the Eureka release, and there's one moderated by him with the actor John Philip Law. It's got the one with the John Philip Law and moderated by Tim Lucas, and the Troy Haworth and Nathaniel Thompson one. So that carries over from the Kino release, and it's got the Danger Diabolic from Fumetti to Film. So you get that, and it's got the music video, the Beastie Boys, but that's it. So this Eureka release has much more in the way of special features than the than the Kino release, but it's got all the Kino special features too. So you get all the Kino special features plus much more. Um, so that's why, and that's kind of what Eureka does. Eureka does that a lot. When they put out uh, the same movie that other people have put out, they usually have exclusive special features or more special features than other companies have. I remember this when they did their In the Line of Duty releases. Uh, as a, I know 88 Films did the Region A version, and Eureka did the Region B version, the Blu-rays. And I know the Eureka releases had like slightly better special features because I did that comparison many times to decide which ones I wanted to get. Let's see. Um, Acres of Movies asks, "Is Bad Education your favorite Almodovar?" No, actually. Um, all about my mother is truly fantastic. It's an astonishing film. The Skin I Live In is a movie unlike I've ever seen. It's the 2011 Pedro Almodovar film. It's even unlike any other Pedro Almodovar film. It's so dark and unhinged and messed up and haunting, and it's a it's an incredible, just harsh movie. Something unlike I've seen from any other Pedro Almodovar film, but All About My Mother is still to this day really sticks with me a lot. It really, I think it's truly brilliant. Um, I think also, let's see, I'm just looking at his filmography here. Volver is very good. Talk to Her is also very good. But I think All About My Mother is my favorite. Yeah, now that I'm looking at his filmography, Woman on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown is excellent too. That's really good. But that's a lighter film. That's a lighter film. I don't know. I like my films like darker and more introspective, existential. Some would say depressing. Um, a favorite of these so far today, Acres of Movies asks. So let's see, favorite release. Um, I do really like the Danger Diabolic one. This seems like a really all encompassing release. For just looking at my notes that we're going to be talking about, um, Boxcar Bertha. Yeah, Boxcar Bertha. This is probably my favorite. I'm biased. First of all, it's not the best movie of all of these movies. It's just the fact that this movie is getting another release. Because the only release it's gotten in high definition so far, I'm going to talk about it when we get to it later on, is a Twilight Time Blu-ray that I think is now out of print. So it was either tracking down that old Twilight Time Blu-ray release, getting the Blu-ray to get that Blu-ray, finding the DVD, or just waiting in to see who else was going to be putting out Boxcar Bertha. And lo and behold, Boxcar Bertha is getting a Cinématographe release. So that's definitely one I'm going to be looking forward to. That's coming out, this month actually. Yeah, it's coming out this month. That's another one that's coming up this month that I really am interested in. Just because it's Martin Scorsese, I'm a Martin Scorsese completist. I have to have all of his movies. I don't have Boxcar Bertha, so it fits all kinds of needs for me. It fits all kinds of needs. But speaking of which, let me talk about the other uh, release from Eureka, and that is Adventure Calls Carl May at CCC. Now, I believe these are all Western films. So, the writer Carl May is a household name in his native Germany, where he is associated with thrilling Western tales and sweeping adventure stories. Following earlier attempts to bring his novels to the screen, films adapted from May's work found their greatest success in the 1960s. 7 of them were produced by Arthur Bronner at CCC Film, all starring Lex Barker and directed by veteran filmmakers Robert Siodmak, Hugo Fragones, and Franz Joseph Gottlieb, and Harold Reinl. Let's see. Old Shattered Hand and Winnetou and Shattered Hand and Shatterhand in the Valley of Death both feature May's most beloved characters, the frontiersman Old Shatterhand and the Apache chief Winnetow, who find themselves first caught up in a plot to start a war between the Native Americans and white settlers, and then a scheme to steal a gold shipment from the U.S. Army. The shoot, the shoot through wild Kurdistan and in the Kingdom of the Silver Lion all follow adventurer Kara Ben Nemzi as he travels through the Balkans and the Middle East, while the treasure of the Aztecs and the Pyramid of the Sun God chart the exploits of Dr. Carl Sterno as he seeks vast riches to fund political action in Mexico. Wildly entertaining, shot in beautifully cinematic European locations, and helmed by some of the most talented filmmakers working in Germany during the 1960s, these popular Karl May adaptations paved the way for the many Italian westerns that would soon follow. So yeah, these are very much in the vein of like spaghetti westerns, kind of. The Masters of Cinema series is honored to present all 7 of Arthur Bronner's Karl May adaptations for the first time ever on home video in the UK from brand new 4K restorations by CCC Film box set. The box set content. I probably should just read this off. It's got the Old Shattered Hand, Winnetow and the Old Shattered Hand in the Valley of Death, The Shoot Through Wild Kurdistan, In the Kingdom of the Silver Lion, The Treasure of the Aztecs, and The Pyramid of the Sun God. Now, for special features, there's 4K restorations of all 7 of the movies, original German audio tracks, English subtitles, new introduction to each film by Sir Christopher Frayling, author of Spaghetti Western, Cowboys, and Europeans from Karl May to Sergio Leone. New audio commentaries on Old Shattered Hand and The Treasure of the Aztecs by film historian David Callett. Karl May at CCC, new interview with producer Alice Bronner, managing director at CCC Film and daughter of CCC founder Arthur Bronner. Prodigal Son, new interview with film historian Sheldon Hall on the late career of Robert Siodmak. Archival making of the documentary on the Old Shattered Hand and Winnetow Shatterhand in the Valley of Death. Archival featurette on Dala Lavi, the star of the Old Shatterhand. Archival interview with Bernard Schmidt, co-editor and contributor to Karl May Verlag. Archival featurette on the restoration of the shoot Through Wild Kurdistan and In the Kingdom of the Silver Lion. Archival news footage on the shoot, original theatrical trailers, limited edition hardbound set, limited edition 60-page collector's book. Yeah, this is another one of their like really solid box sets of German post-World War II cinema. I've got one here of Rack and Ruin, the Rubble film at DEFA. This is another kind of box set that they've done about German cinema in post-World War II Europe. These are films from East Germany. I believe CCC was West Germany. I believe so. I'm just reading the back here like a crazy person. Not the best time to be reading things in your mind while live on camera. But yes, they've also done a CCC box set before of another set of genre films. I think that one's like sold out everywhere. It's tough to find. But these are really solid box sets. Eureka's been putting out really solid releases for many, many years. And this one looks really good. So the US and Canada street date is April 28th. And the UK street date for Danger Diabolic is April 20th. Okay? And yeah, I'm like no one else is putting out box sets of German cinema from the 1960s. It just no one's really doing that these days. You know what I mean? You can only really find those from places like Eureka. No one's really talking about these other than chasing labels, and then the other people in the collecting community as well. But still, no, it's not something you hear about every day. Yeah. Acres of Movies also asks, excited for Blackberry. Did you like that one? I did like the movie Blackberry a lot. I thought that movie was going to get way more acclaim, way more people talking about it, and it was very much under the radar. very much under the radar when it came out a couple of years ago. I think it actually already got a Blu-ray release, so this was surprising to me that I was getting a second Blu-ray release, or I could have just completely, yeah. So no, it did not get a Blu-ray release, at least not here. I could have sworn that it got a Blu-ray release. Well, it got one in Canada back in 2023. I guess it never got a Blu-ray release in the United States, which also really, really surprises me. That really surprises me. Um, but we'll talk about it when we get to it because we're gonna go through all the partner labels later on. That one's actually sold out very quickly. The limited edition of that sold out very quickly. There was a lot of limited editions this month from the Vinegar Syndrome partner labels that sold out very fast. Um, like within hours of them being announced, which surprised the heck out of me. Um, but let's see. So that was the Eureka releases. Now, where are we? Let's go over to. Oh, we're bouncing around like a beach ball at a concert. Let's go to Kino. Why not? We'll talk about Kino. Everybody knows Kino. There's actually a Kino sale going on right now at Barnes & Noble, 50% off on the Barnes & Noble website and in their stores until March 9th. So they went from having an Arrow and Indicator sale to a Kino and Radiance 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble they're reviving their physical media game over the last couple of years. But let me go over to Kino's Facebook page and pick up from where we left off before. I just want to make sure to check my notes to see where I should start from. Okay, we're going to be starting off pretty high. No, we're not. We're actually going to, I was looking in the wrong direction. We're going to be starting off pretty low. Pretty low in the sense like the movie is not good. Okay, so there's this Western, speaking of Westerns, this Western called Jory from 1973. It's not very good. Directed by Jorge Fons. Let me go over and get a description of it. It's getting a 4K release, which of all movies to get 4K release, I don't know why this movie's getting it. Let's see. Jory is a 15-year-old boy who joins a horse drive after his father is killed by a drunkard. The drive's leader and a likable cowhand take the boy under their wing and find that tragedy has taught him how to take care of himself. It's not that it's a bad movie. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing really spectacular going on in it or anything like that. I don't have much to say about it, to be quite honest. It's not getting a 4K release. It's getting a Blu-ray release, but it's a brand new 4K restoration. Okay. Next is the movie Bruiser. So Bruiser, speaking of, we've been talking a bunch about Indicator. Indicator put out Bruiser. This is the George A. Romero film. They put this out years ago, actually. And so this movie's been out for a little while. Let's see. Bruiser's gotten a 4K release from Indicator back in 2024, and now it's getting a 4K release from Kino. So the Kino, there's nothing yet when it comes to the details on it. It's just a brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master, it says. It's coming soon on 4K, UHD, and Blu-ray. It's the George A. Romero film from the year 2000, starring Jason Fleming. Peter Stormare's in the movie. I've seen this movie like twice, actually. I struggle with it because there's good elements within it. I just don't think it's fully fleshed out as much as the movie thinks it is. And so I struggle with the movie a bit, but I still like it. I still like what it's going for. And it's George Romero, so that gives it a little bit of a positive edge to it as well. But yeah, that's the movie Bruiser. Yeah, it's an interesting introspective movie about this character played by Jason Fleming who makes this mask and it kind of takes over him. That's kind of the premise. Kind of is. But after years of being tread upon and cheated on, a man awakens to find his face has been replaced by a blank white mask. And what that does is it kind of allows him to give into his like darker side, if you will. It's kind of like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of situation going on there. Yeah, it's a movie I struggle with a little bit, even though I've seen it twice. Anywho, that's Bruiser. Let me move on from there to there's the movie called Death Ship with George Kennedy and Richard Crenna. So George Kennedy, my man, I love I love George Kennedy. George Kennedy, he was of course in oh goodness, he was in he won an Oscar actually for Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, he won an Oscar for Cool Hand Luke. That's a movie. You oh, Acres of Movies. If you're still there, you asked me earlier, um, movies that I find amusing. George Kennedy in Cool Hand Luke, I think, is hysterical. He is incredibly hilarious in that movie. Whether it's intentional or not intentional, I have no idea, but he is electric in that movie. And he has some lines in that movie that I find hilarious. Um, just just his infectious energy that he brings to his character in that movie and his relationship he has with the Paul Newman character and the way he idolizes him and the way all the people in that movie idolize the Paul Newman character is fascinating to me. That movie is one of my all time favorites. Cool Hand Luke. If you've never seen a Paul Newman film, watch Cool Hand Luke. It's amazing. And George Kennedy in that movie is astonishing. And there's the little lines I think of, when there's an egg eating contest in the movie where Paul Newman's trying to eat 50 eggs and George Kennedy's like just trying to support him and stuff like that. It's just incredible, incredible stuff. But George Kennedy's in this much different movie called Death Ship from 1980. So what happens is this crew of people their boat sinks. Their boat sinks and the survivors get in this life raft or this smaller boat and they're kind of just drifting and they end up coming across this ship in the middle of nowhere. And they think they're saved. They think they're saved. They go on the ship and there's nobody there. It's completely empty. It is completely empty. Hence the title of the movie, Death Ship. It's completely empty, yet it may not be. Something may be going on with it. Perhaps a supernatural presence is there. Watch the movie to find out. But anywho, this is getting a 4K UHD release coming out April 6th. Uh, there's two discs. The first disc is a 4K UHD, brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master of the theatrical cut from a 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. There's a new audio commentary for the theatrical cut by Paul Karupe of theconexploitation.com and film historian Jason Pachonsky. There's an audio commentary for both cuts by film historians Alexandra Heller Nicholas and Josh Nelson. That already intrigues me. That in and of itself may be better than the actual movie. Disc 2 has the movie. Yeah, it has the theatrical cut of the movie and it has the extended cut of the movie. So the extended cut of the movie is only in 1080p. It's not in 4K, while the theatrical cut is in 1080p. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah. So on the second disc is when you get that extra audio commentary. You get the audio commentary for the theatrical cut and the audio commentary for the extended cut by Alexandra Helen Nicholas and Josh Nelson. There's also an audio commentary for the extended cut by director Alvin Rakoff, moderated by Jonathan Rigby. Isolated score for the extended cut by composer Ivor Slaney. Stormy Seas, The Voyage from the Blood Star to Death Ship documentary. What is the Ship Saying? Featurette with Katarina Severin, Severin of Katarina's Nightmare Theater. And then there's a Bloodstar short story script by Jack Hill. And that is it. So, yeah, pretty interesting. Pretty good release for a movie that I thought was kind of just okay. It's like a haunted house movie on the high seas. I'll say that without giving away any spoilers. Next is the movie The Second Twin. Let's see. Let's see. So, starring Michelle Mercier and Robert Hossein, the iconic duo of the Angelique films, The Second Twin is an ultra stylish tale of passion and murder. Middle aged attorney Pierre falls for Natalie, who dances in a discotheque to work her way through medical school. The love struck lawyer nearly leaves his wife over the beautiful young dancer, and when Natalie's wealthy suitor is murdered, Pierre becomes a main suspect. A colorful whodunit unfolds from master director Christian Jacques. That's The Second Twin. It's getting a 4K restoration by Studio Canal, new audio commentary by film critic and author Simon Abrams. Let's see. Next is the one I'm waiting for. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. Of the year. Mark it on your calendars. April 14th on 4K UHD and Blu-ray. We are getting the 1996 film The Phantom. Yes, we are. So, brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master, former 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative, approved by director Simon Wincer, new audio commentary by director Simon Wincer, moderated by filmmaker Douglas Hosdale. And then on the second disc, the Blu-ray disc, you get the movie as well as the commentary. Plus, you get Kismet in the Jungle, new interview with star Billy Zane. It runs 27 minutes long. New interview, 27 minutes long, Billy Zane. And then you get Slam Evil scoring The Phantom, new interview with composer David Newman. That runs about 15 minutes long. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. Finally, we're getting a 4K UHD release of The Phantom. Yes, back in the 90s. Before we have the comic book genre that we have today in movies, before the MCU, before any of that, before the Dark Knight movies, before the DC movies of modern day, before you know television shows and all that stuff. Not a lot of good stuff really going on in the 90s when it comes to movies. Yes, they existed. Comic book movies did. We had, in 1989's Tim Burton's Batman. Then we had Batman Returns a couple of years later in 1992. Then we had Batman Forever, and then we had Batman and Robin. Not, those two are not great. But in the 90s, of course, you had Blade in 1998. Excellent. And then in the year 2000, you had the X-Men movie. And then, of course, Spider-Man after that. And then, things go on from there. You don't need me to fill in the blanks and all that kind of stuff. But in the 90s, there's some other things going on in there. And one of them is The Phantom. People don't know this, but The Phantom were comics. And the Phantom comic books go all the way back to the 1930s. So we're talking like golden age of comics here. And the Phantom is kind of like a Batman story. Like the Billy Zane character is a Bruce Wayne type of, handsome, wealthy guy who happens to dress up as the Phantom. He is the ghost who walks. And there's a whole lineage and lore behind it. There's been all kinds of comic books story runs of the Phantom and all that kind of stuff. But I saw this movie in the theaters back in 1996. I was 9 years old when this came out. Billy Zane, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Treat Williams is the bad guy. He's basically like a Lex Luthor character, something like that. And yeah, I've loved this movie ever since. Ever since, and it is the 30-year anniversary of The Phantom. Yeah, what a time. What a time. Super underrated, in my opinion. Is it a great movie? Most definitely not. Is it a fun movie that definitely encapsulates what comic book movies were like back in 1996? Probably. Probably. But yeah, I've always liked the movie. And Billy Zane looks like a comic book character come to life. Like he looks like back in the 90s, he looked like Bruce Wayne. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the Phantom that's coming out. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, one of my most highly anticipated releases of the year coming on April 14th of The Phantom, starring Billy Zane. Some of the things here we've talked about already. I feel like a broken record. Remo Williams coming April 14th. We talked about this before. We also talked about Stone Cold, the Brian Bosworth movie that's coming April 21st. House Calls, which we talked about recently, that was coming, and this is the Walter Matthau film, coming out April 21st as well. It's got a new audio commentary by entertainment journalist and authors Brian Reisman and Max Every. Um, yeah, Walter Matthau explores the world of middle-aged dating in this laugh out loud 70s rom-com. Well, kind of yes, kind of no, depending on how you feel about comedy. But Walter Matthau plays a recent widower. He's also a doctor, and he ends up getting involved with a character named Anne, portrayed by Glenda Jackson, and the two end up on a roller coaster romance, and that's kind of the movie. Interesting movie. Next, what else do we got here? House of Cards. This is the George Peppard. Is it the George Peppard? Yes, it is. Ingrid Stevens, George Peppard, and my beloved Orson Welles are in this film. And we've talked about this before as well. I'm kind of glossing over it, so I'm trying to not make this 4 hours long. So we'll gloss over this a little bit. This is the movie from 1969. Only thing coming here in the way of special features is an audio commentary by Gary Gerani. So this is also coming out April 21st, and that is it. That is it from Kino. Alrighty then. Oh, Phantom. Acres of Movies asks, "What do you like? Fond memories of Phantom. Which one you like better, Phantom, Rocketeer, or Shadow?" What's interesting is I've never seen the Shadow. I've never seen it. I saw Rocketeer when I was a little kid, but I didn't really grow up with it. I saw it maybe a couple of times as a kid after it came out because I remember it, but I didn't really grow up with it like a lot of people did. The Phantom is something I grew up with, and also like other movies of its kind. I mean, like I said, a lot of I would say comic book adaptations. You know, I was 13 in the year 2000, which I feel is like the perfect age to watch an X-Men movie in the theater in the summer of 2000. It feels like, and then you can kind of do a little mental gymnastics after that. Uh, when the Spider-Man movies came out, I was still a teenager. When the MCU came out, that would have been, I would have been like early adulthood. So you can kind of deduce like the era in which I grew up with, the movies in which I grew up with and all of that. Um, but yeah, for me, it's the Phantom. Let's see. Where am I? Where am I? Who am I? What am I? Um, I think we might as well. I know we'll go to Severin. We'll talk Severin, then Arrow, and then I've got a couple of individual releases here, like a couple of Studio Canals, Cauldron Films, Hammer, um, things like that, and then we'll go to the Vinegar Syndrome. So we're moving right along. I say that as well. We're approaching the 2 hour mark. Let's see. So let's go over to Severin. Like, yet again, not a lot to say about Severin, because I didn't watch any of the movies, unfortunately. Um, so there's an Antonio Margheriti box set, and then there's a Andy Milligan box set as well. I guess we'll talk about the Andy Milligan one. So I know many of you Severin fans out there probably already have the Dungeons of Andy Milligan box set that came out several years ago. I know, my producer and friend Steven here from Chasing Labels, I believe he has that set. Yes, I think so. I probably shouldn't be guessing what other people have in their collections, but I know many of you do. But this is kind of an addendum to the Dungeons of Andy Milligan box set, and it's in the sense that it's more Andy Milligan films. So, let me get into this. I don't know much about Andy Milligan, to be honest with all of you. Like I said, I don't have that set. I haven't seen really any of his movies, so I don't have a lot to say about it. So I'll just kind of read what Severin has to say here. And Severin, in typical fashion, has a lot to say about a lot of their things. A connoisseur of the depraved, he managed to create a unique oeuvre that defiles common decency at a level that is both shocking and admirable. That's a quote from Screenwriter Anarchy. Three-disc collection includes two thought-lost films, plus the acclaimed documentary The Degenerate, The Life and Films of Andy Milligan, with two rarely seen movie projects, and 5+ combined hours of special features. So, this is the, like I said, hold on. This is the Gutter Auteur, The Lost Legacy of Andy Milligan, 3-disc Blu-ray box set. Pioneer, outsider, auteur Andy Milligan clawed his way from the depths of 60s independent cinema straight to the abyss of grindhouse infamy like no other filmmaker in history. In this all-new collection of worldwide disc premieres, Severin Films presents two thought-lost forever features written, produced, and directed by the Fassbender of 42nd Street. 1967's Poke Nuke Nihilism, The Degenerates, recently discovered in a Brussels vault, and the 1968 underground psychodrama Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, found in an Amsterdam archive. Both restored from their only surviving elements. That's incredible. Then in the acclaimed 2025 documentary, The Degenerate, The Life and Films of Andy Milligan, experience an eye-opening look into one of the weirder and darker corners of cinema history. Also included is the early Milligan project Compass Rose and 1975's rarely seen Staten Island Gothic House of Seven Bells, plus over 5 combined hours of special features that reveal even more of the sordid saga behind one of exploitation's most fascinating figures. So disc 1 is the documentary, The Degenerate, The Life and Films of Andy Milligan. For special features on that, there's a Q&A with directors Josh Johnson and Grayson Tyler Johnson, the Ghastly One author Jimmy McDonough, and Milligan collaborators Hope Stansbury, Natalie Rogers, Ken Lane, and John Borsk at the 2025 Tribeca Film Festival. Cool. Disc 2 is The Degenerates and the Compass Rose. There's an audio commentary with Milligan expert Alex DeSanto, 2 weeks in Woodstock interview with actress Laura Cunningham, Trauma at Tribeca, which is 2025 Tribeca Film Festival introduction to The Degenerates, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, re-premiere by Jimmy McDonough, author of The Ghastly One, Sin Sisters 66, interview with Stephen Thrower, author of Nightmare USA. And the special feature for Compass Rose is there's Oricon Ego Death, interview with Stephen Thrower, author of Nightmare USA. And that's it. And then for disc 3, which is Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, plus the House of Seven Bells. For Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me, you got the audio interview with Andy Milligan by author Stéphane Bourgogne from 1975. Wow. Magic Time interview with actor Peter Rattray. Dove and Divine interview with actress Natalie Rogers. Milligan Illustrated interview with Stephen Thrower. Licentious Lunacy interview with Milligan expert Alex DeSanto. Then for House of the Seven Bells, there is All About the Frocks interview with Stephen Thrower. And that's it. So that is the Andy Milligan box set here. Gutter Auteur, The Lost Legacy of Andy Milligan. That'll go great with the other Andy Milligan box set. So next we've got Antonio Margheriti and the Jungles of Doom, his 80s adventure films, 3 4K UHD films in limited edition collection. So, the Margheriti Adventure Trilogy, housed in a glossy rigid slipcase with thumb notch. Don't know, yeah. For more than 4 decades, Antonio Margheriti was a maestro of gothic horror, westerns, giallo, sci-fi, and beyond. In the immediate wake of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Margheriti directed 3 over-the-top action-adventure films that can only be described as the Indiana Jones exploitation. In The Hunters of the Golden Cobra, David Warbeck and John Steiner star as the pair of World War II rogues in search of an ancient relic with supernatural powers. Warbeck and Steiner return in the Ark of the Sun God to raid a mountaintop temple and snatch the scepter of Gilgamesh. Christopher Connolly and Lee Van Cleef face booby traps, double crosses, and exploding miniatures to hunt a priceless jewel called the Ruby of Gloom in Jungle Raiders. All 3 films are newly scanned in 4K from their original camera negatives with 2+ hours of new and archival special features curated exclusively for this collection. Okay, so special features are the Path of the Disc 1. Oh, hold on. So special features for the Hunters of the Golden Cobra. So disc 1, just a trailer. Okay. Disc 2, which is the Blu-ray, is The Path of the Cobra, interview with assistant director Eduardo Margariti. Bloodline of the Cobra, interview with second camera assistant David Mancori. 1996 Festival of the Fantastic Films award presentation and Q&A with David Warbeck. Video essay by Rob Hill, author of The Bad Movie Bible. And let's see, for the Ark of the Sun God, we have a 4K UHD disc for disc 1, similar to the first one, and the Blu-ray has the special features. Second Unit Chronicles, interview with assistant director Eduardo Margariti. Raiders of the Sun God, interview with writer Giovanni Paolucci. Antonio Margariti recalls David Warbeck. And then disc 3 is The Hunt of the Golden Cobra and the Ark of the Sun God soundtrack CD. You know, Severin loves to do those. And then for Jungle Raiders, we have disc 1 is the UHD disc. Disc 2 is the Blu-ray with the special features. You have the Ruby Trail interview with assistant director Eduardo Margariti, and then Italian credit sequence. And that is it. Alrighty then. So that is the 2 box sets from Severin. This is the Antonio Margariti and the Jungles of Doom, his 80s adventure films. That's 3 4K UHD films in limited edition release. And then you've got Gutter Orter, The Lost Legacy of Andy Milligan. So that is everything from Severin. Now let's go over to what else we've got here. So we're going for Severin over to we will do the individual releases I have here, and then we'll do Iroh, and then we'll do Vinegar Syndrome and all that stuff on the docket. Okay, then. So let me see. So Arbalos, which we haven't talked about in forever, is putting out a release of this movie called Nadia, which is a really fascinating 90s vampire art house film. So it's a movie called Nadia. Let's see if I can get some info on it. So Arbalos' first look at new 4K restoration of Nadia. That's what it says here on Blu-ray.com. Let's see. Arbalos has provided a promotional trailer for the new 4K restoration of Iqbal Almereda's Nadia, starring Elwyn Lowenson, Carl Geary, Peter Fonda, Martin Donovan, and Jack Lotz. A preliminary release date for an upcoming Blu-ray release has not yet been revealed. Okay, so they have not given us a Blu-ray release date yet. And I know Arbalos doesn't put out many releases. So I'm curious when this is going to come out. So this was executively produced by David Lynch, and David Lynch is in the movie, which caught me off guard like you would not believe, but I was pleasantly surprised, to say the least. So merging elements from Dracula's Daughter with Andre Breton's surrealist novel Nadia, and fusing shimmering black and white 35mm with hallucinatory pixel vision video, Michael Almereda's acclaimed cult film centers on the New York-based vampire Nadia. As she draws close to her twin brother Edgar, following their father's death at the hands of Dr. Van Helsing, Edgar's private nurse, Van Helsing's nephew Jim, and Jim's wife are entangled in the story as the vampire killer pursues the fiend from Manhattan to Transylvania. There's a lot going on in this description. None of it really can explain this movie accurately. This movie is a fever dream of so many different things going on. I don't even know how to describe it. So you definitely have this vampire in this movie feels like, I don't even know how to explain this. So this vampire in Nadia, who is trying to find her brother Edgar, and along the path, she ends up having this relationship with this woman that she ends up sleeping with, and then, biting, because it's what vampires do. And then there's like um not consequences because of it, but this woman that she gets with also happens to be, I think, the wife or the girlfriend of the nephew of Van Helsing. It's really interesting here. But that's not even what makes this movie amazing. What makes this movie kind of amazing is the aesthetic, the tone, the feeling, the mood. It's so art housey, it's so surreal, it's so brilliant in those regards. It felt like Abel Ferrera's The Addiction. It felt like that, but even more surreal. It's so tough for me to really describe it. Let me go over to Letterboxd, see if I can find somebody who can describe it better than I can. I'm not doing it justice at all. All I know is that it's I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really brilliant. Let's see, Nadia. Mhm. Yeah, it's so it's so indescribable the way this movie is, and the movie's shot in such a way that you kind of can't tell what's going on. There's a plot, but the plot's not really necessary or it's not really important. It's so it's monochrome, it's murky, it's set at night indoors, and the quality of the print that I was watching, you couldn't really make out what was going on half the time. So that just added to the overall aesthetic and the overall mood of the movie, in my opinion. Truly unique, truly unique. I really need to say I was really taken with it. I'm definitely gonna get this. I don't think I have any Arballos release in my collection. I've wanted to get an Arballos release for many years. You can buy exclusive like special editions from their website, or you can of course buy them online in just general. But I know they've done releases of like Satin Tango and other films that are truly like deep cut like art house films that you've probably never even really heard of. Um, But yeah, I was really digging this movie. So that's the movie Nadia. Yet again, we don't know when it's coming out, so I have no details about any of that. Speaking of a movie that I couldn't tell you what the f it was about because it was about nothing. Pink Narcissus is getting it's a 1971 art house film. Getting a Blu-ray release from Strand Releasing on February 24th. It's directed, written, edited, produced by James Bidgood, but he worked on the movie for like 7 years, from like the entire decade of the '60s, and it got to the point where they just wanted him to release the movie, and he was so frustrated with it that he took his name off of it completely. So when you watch the movie, it's credited as being like written, directed by, produced by anonymous because there's no name on it. It was before you could use a pseudonym. I don't know if people know this, but every time you hear the name, see the name Alan Smithy on a movie, that's because the director wanted their name taken off of it. So they had to put in a pseudonym, as I guess they came up with the name Alan Smithy. But in this case, this was done, I believe, before that was even a thing. So, um, they had to so he took his name off of it completely, and it's the movie is a trance, fever dream, an acid trip like you wouldn't believe. There's no plot, nothing. It's just a series of party scenes, trippy scenes, sex scenes, nudity, dancing. It's like a nightclub nightmare that never ends. It really is. And like it's brilliant because like there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? There's just nothing like it. Like I have nothing to compare this to because there's nothing like it. Uh Truly fascinating. It's everything and it's nothing and it's brilliant and it's dumb. It's crazy good. Um yeah, it's the movie called Pink Narcissus from 1971, put out by Strand Releasing. It is unreal of a movie. Truly unreal. I don't know how. anybody gave it a rating on Letterboxd, but I know I did. Just truly, truly unique. But let's see what else I've got here. Let's go to Hammer. Hammer putting out this movie called Man Trap. So Hammer's having a big year. They had a big year last year. They haven't even a bigger year this year. Man Trap is getting a 4K release coming out. It's coming out later this year. Let me pull it up. Oh yeah, coming out on April 13th. Um, it's coming out on April 13th. It's one of their thicker like digipack release collector's editions, 4K UHD release. The American title is called Man in Hiding, which I think is more apropos. So, the mystery begins when Spite escapes after being found guilty of murder, and his wife, Thelma, believes he is after her because she is in love with another man and has changed her name. Lawyer Bishop and friend playing a hunch finds Spate at the scene of the crime and learns he is after the real murderer and not his wife. They shift through several men as suspects, all of whom seem to know his wife rather well. The movie's Paul Henreid is in the film. Paul Henreid was in Casablanca. Yeah, Paul Henreid was in Casablanca, and he that's where I know him from. Yeah, I think he played Victor Laszlo in Casablanca. I probably should know these things because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a movie I think about very, very often. Yeah, he was in Casablanca. And let me check if there are any special features. I think there are special features. Let's see. News. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. There are no. Let's see. Limited Collector's Edition presents the film in extraordinary new detail, restored in 4K from the original camera negative, and both the UK and released on home video for the very first time. Both the UK and US versions are included, alongside a wealth of exclusive new commentaries, archival material, and a deluxe booklet that explores the film's production themes and its place within Hammer's crime era output. It would be nice if they would just give me a list of the special features and not make me have to go hunting for it, which I think I'm going to have to. I think Hammer has a website that I can go to. Let me check. Let me briefly check. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got it. So luckily I'm on the Blu-ray.com forums, and this is from January 30th. So, limited edition collector's edition comprises both Man Trap and its US version, Man in Hiding, with supporting material on 2 discs and a stylish digipack and rigid box, 1 UHD and 1 Blu-ray disc, with the content duplicated across both formats. Let's see. The disc features are as this. New commentary with film noir UK co-director James Harrison and film TV historian and podcaster Sergio Angelini. New commentary with cult expert Toby Rohn and Serial at Midnight podcaster Heath Holland. Nice. Film noir experts Imogen Sarah Smith and Sergio Angelini, along with Hammer scholar Wayne Kinsey, discuss Hammer's Brit noir output and his relationship with pure American noir. That sounds fascinating to me. What's in a Name? Writers Martin Edwards, Mike Ripley, and Barry Forshaw. Profile author Elston Trevor, on whose Queen in Danger book Man Trap is based. Caught in the act, a handsome leading man during the silent film era, Jon Stewart latterly appeared in several Hammer films in supporting roles. Jonathan Kroll, Stewart's son, discusses his father and his work. Let's see. Hammer expert Wayne Kinsey joins Dark Corners reviews Robin Bales for a tour of Man Trap's London locations. Len Harris interview, an audio interview with the Hammer crew mainstay recorded in 1991 by BEHP. Len Harris behind-the-scenes footage, candid mute 8mm footage taken at Bray during the shooting of Man Trap. A gallery of stills and publicity material, alongside tracks from Doreen Carwithin's score, and then there's booklet features here as well. They're just all articles. He has one, two, three, four, five, six articles and a reproduction of paperwork. It says reproduction production paperwork. Okay, so this is a pretty elite release. There's a lot going on with these releases. Hammer has really been at it, but I think this is put out. Hold on, I've been crediting Hammer this whole time, but no, it's a Hammer Films release. Yeah, it's a Hammer Films release. See what else I've got here. I thought I had. Okay, so um, in the same vein, there's two other movies that are also Hammer Films, but they're not put out by Hammer Films. They're put out by Studio Canal. So, um, so we have Mantrap, which is being put out by Hammer Films in a big old deluxe edition, like you just heard me talk about, and then we have two from Studio Canal called Demons of the Mind and Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. So, Demons of the Mind, which I actually did watch, is way more in line with what people have come to expect from Hammer horror. Actually, Demons of the Mind is getting a 4K UHD release. Let's see if I can get some special features on this and maybe a description or two. Let's see. So, where are you? Oh, these are pretty deluxe as well. So, one of Hammer's most ambitious and underappreciated films, Demons of the Mind, explores the Baron Zorn's conviction that his son Emil and daughter Elizabeth are suffering from a hereditary madness. In an attempt to contain their insanity, he keeps them imprisoned and drugged, yet these measures are not enough to stop his children from expressing their decadent desires and violent natures. Desperate for a cure, Zorn employs the discredited Dr. Falkenberg to investigate his family's plight. So this is a two-disc edition, new 4K restoration of the film, HDR presentation of the film. There's a new special feature here called Evil in the Blood, Virginia Weatherall on Demons of the Mind. There's an audio commentary with author and film historian Steve Haberman, another audio commentary with director Peter Sykes, screenwriter Christopher Wicking, and actress Virginia Weatherall, moderated by film historian Jonathan Southcott. Blood Will Have Blood, Inside Demons of the Mind, interview with camera operator Neil Benet, behind the scenes stills gallery, color lobby cards, 64-page book as well. Yeah, it's interesting, twisted movie. I did get to see it. It's a very interesting, twisted, messed up movie. Think of Yorgos Lanthimos's Dogtooth, but in a Hammer British films form. It's kind of what this is like, in a period piece. That's the best way I can describe this movie. Then we have Blood from the Mummy's Tomb, which I did not get to see. At the moment, archaeologist Julia Fuchs and his expedition team discovered the tomb of the evil ancient Egyptian Queen Terra. His daughter Margaret is born exactly in Terra's image. Oh boy. Years later, Korbeck wishes to resurrect Terra and use her immense power for his own nefarious ends. With Margaret's help, they hunt down the relics required for the occult ceremony in which Terra's soul that has been sojourning in the identical body of Margaret will be transferred to her preserved corpse. A lot going on here. You got resurrection, you got possession, you've got rituals, you've got ancient relics, all kinds of stuff going on here. So this is a 2-disc edition, 4K Blu-ray, 4K, new 4K restoration, HDR presentation. Valerie Leon Inside the Mummy's Tomb. That's a wrap. Kim Newman explores Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. Audio commentary with film historian / author Steve Haberman. The Pharaoh's Curse Inside Blood from the Mummy's Tomb. Interview with Valerie Leon and Christopher Wicking. Interview with sound recordist Tony Della. Interview with camera operator Neil Binney, TV and radio spots, black and white lobby cards, color lobby cards, behind the stills gallery, trailer, 64-page book, 2 posters. Cool. So yeah, that's 2 from Studio Canal, 2 Hammer horror films. Plenty of Hammer to go around, and we're having a hammer of a time. It's Hammer time. It's Hammer time. Let's see, what else do we got here? So now we'll go over to Cauldron Films. So we got to go to Diabolic DVD's website to get some details on that, because that's their label. Actually, I believe Cauldron Films is their label. I haven't talked about a Cauldron Films release in quite a while, and there's two of them actually. There's two to talk about, two to talk about, two to tango, as the saying goes. Now let me see, where am I going to find this? I could just look them up. Could just look them up. Oh, browse by labels. No, there's Cauldron. Got this Grim Reaper demon looking guy. Where of course it doesn't have. I have to hold on. Also doesn't have it. Okay, let me go. I'll have to do the old fashioned way. I have to search it. So the first release I want to talk about is Conquest. So Conquest is a Lucio Fulci film from 1983, and it's unlike anything you've seen before, or at least anything you've seen from Lucio Fulci. This is a fantasy, like a fantasy epic. It's like, yeah, this movie is nuts. So I'll read the description and then I'll give my 2 cents on it because I did actually see this movie. So when a mysterious stranger travels from faraway lands to explore, he is quickly attacked by the evil Okran, wolf-like henchman to steal his magic bow. Fortunately, he is saved by the brave barbarian Mace, and the two embark on an epic quest to defeat Okran and all of the land's most evil and vile creatures. Attempting to ride the success of Conan the Barbarian, the Italian film market turns its attention to the fantasy realm for a series of films, with Fulci's Conquest remaining the best to emerge from this period. Featuring oddball creatures, naked sorceresses, mythical weapons, dolphins, gruesome practical effects, Eric Claudio Simonetti's a driving synth soundtrack. Conquest is a Fulci film like no other, while still being exactly what you expect from him. Scanned and stored in 4K from the original camera negative, Conquest retains all of the grain, haze, dreamlike focus, and color palette as Lucio Fulci intended. This worldwide UHD debut deluxe 4-disc edition. It's got a UHD, a Blu-ray, and a CD, features new artwork by Justin Coffey, soundtrack CD by Claudio Simonetti, and an entire Blu-ray disc loaded with features. This movie, so to put this movie into some type of context, do you remember, or you don't even have to remember, if you've ever, seen these things. So for 80s fantasy movies, they would make the most epic, cool posters you've ever seen, right? Posters so cool and eye-catching that they would make you want to watch the movie, and the movie never lived up to the hype that the posters would sell. Never did it. I remember walking through Blockbuster as a kid and seeing because they would just use movie posters for the VHS cases, right? And they would have them there, and they would all look so cool and so amazing, but they, like I said, they never lived up to the hype that the posters would be for selling the movies, right? Selling the movies at. This may be one of the most exceptions of that, where the poster is actually as wild and as accurate and as cool as the movie is. Now, I say that, but it's also as weird, strange, odd, dumb, crazy as the poster is as well. So this movie is a hazy fog of a movie. I couldn't, like, the movie had like this haze over it, cloudiness over it, where you couldn't make out things. And like there would just be crazy Wookiee monster things running around that these guys were fighting. There was magic, like swords and blasts, and there was nudity in the movie as well. It was crazy. It was like heavy metal come to life, that animated film from the 80s as well at times. And Lucio Fulci is dialing up his craziness to 11. The score by Goblin is dialed up to 11. It's cool, but I couldn't make out anything on the screen. All I knew is that it was like entertaining and wild, like unbelievably wild. And yeah, I can't wait to see what they do to restore this movie and what the special features are. Actually, let me see what the features are. So, disc one has the movie on 4K UHD, 4K restoration, from the negative. It's got an audio commentary by Eugenio Ercolani and Nani Colbretti. Disc two is the Blu-ray with the movie, with the restoration. It's got the audio commentary that I just talked about, and then disc three has the extra features. It's got Jorge the Outlaw interview with Jorge Rivero, a Catalan Wolfman in Sardinia interview with Jose Gras, Post Goblin Conquest interview with Claudio Simonetti, Operating the Conquest interview with Federico Del Zoppo, Caveman Talk interview with Gino Capone, Jose Antonio de la Loma Moore, and then Just the Name interview with Paco Marin, The Arsenal of Fantasy video essay by Heather Wixson, Conquering Acapinti video essay by Pierre Marie Bacchi, Conquest slash Beyond Conquest, two video essays by Mike Foster, Sorota Conquest inspired short film. Then there's a trailer, and then disc four is the CD soundtrack, and that's it. That's it. But yeah, this movie is insane. Like I said, it's unlike any other Lucio Fulci film I've ever seen. Like, you would have sworn this was done by somebody else. Because if you think of, when you think Lucio Fulci, you think of like Zombie, you think of, oh goodness, like other more horror based Luci, like The Beyond. You think of things like that. You think of more horror based stuff. And this is like a fantasy adventure movie a la Conan the Barbarian, if it was even more, if he was more heightened. It's kind of unreal. It's really unreal. But next we have something completely different, and that is the movie Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper, starring. First of all, it's not only starring, but it is directed by, what's his name? Nope, that's stuff falling. Don't even know what that was. I don't know if you guys heard that on the microphone. Is this the movie? Nope, not the movie. Hold on, let me see, because this is... Why are they making it so difficult? Why are they making this so difficult? So it's Jack the Ripper. Let me go over to Blu-ray.com, see if I can find it there. Yeah, here it is. I found it. I don't know. Yeah, Jess Franco. So Jess Franco directed a Jack the Ripper movie in 1976, also starring Klaus Kinski. Sounds like a recipe for disaster. It really does. And this would be a 50th anniversary 4K edition. It says here, Cauldron Films is preparing a 4K Blu-ray / Blu-ray combo. Release of Jess Franco's Jack the Ripper, starring Klaus Kinski, coming out April 28th. During the late 1800s, Whitechapel area of London was gripped in a fear as Jack the Ripper, codename, literally tore through the prostitutes of the area, desperately trying to solve the grisly murders and placate the panicking residents. Inspector Selby finds himself obsessed with finding the killer and protecting his girlfriend, who may be next. One of the many films prolific director Jess Franco made during his brief but memorable collaboration with producer Erwin C. Dietrich, Jack the Ripper feels like a Hammer film directed by a maniac, full of period costumes, foggy cobblestone streets, an extra helping of gore and nudity, with supporting performances by Herbert Fuchs. Says F-U-X, Fuchs. And Franco Muse Lena Romay. Jack the Ripper is sure to please Euro horror sickos. Restored from a 4K scan of the negative and best available materials, Cauldron Films presents the worldwide 4K Blu-ray debut of this legendary version of the classic tale. Disc 1, new 4K restoration from the original camera negative and best available materials in Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film. Disc 2 is the Blu-ray with the movie as well as an audio commentary by Ryan Verrill and Dr. Will Dotson, our buddy Ryan Verrill. Congrats on that. He caught Jack the Ripper, an interview with actor Andres Monkoff. Erwin C. Dietrich's tribute to Jess Franco's Jack the Ripper. Klaus the Ripper, a video essay by Troy Haworth. White Chapelle Shadows, a video essay by Eugenio Ercolani. Deleted scene, trailer. Let's see. There's a booklet as well, and there's a poster too. So that is Jack the Ripper. Why couldn't I find this? Yeah, I couldn't. Oh, here it is. I didn't look over. I didn't look in the right place. I did find it on their website, on the diabolicdvd.com website. Yeah, it has all the details I just read off. I don't need to reiterate anything. So that is Jack the Ripper. That is Conquest. 2 Cauldron Films releases coming out in April. You can pre-order those on diabolicdvd.com right now. Oh man, I'm starting to feel it. I tell you, once that 2-hour mark hits, the energy just drains out of me. Like, absolutely losing all of the energy. But time to rally, because we have Arrow to talk about, and we have Vinegar Syndrome. So let's go to Arrow. So Arrow's got a I believe 6 releases that they announced. Let's see, where are you guys? Of course, it would be too easy to have them right up front. Like, that would just be too easy. I've got to look for it. Okay. Let me bring up the Arrow releases. They're April releases. So we've got Innerspace. We have Innerspace, Soldier, The Eye, The Day of the Locust getting a, like I said, a UK release. The Killer from 1989. That's the John Woo film. And then we have a double feature of the Wandering Ginza Butterfly Collection. And let's start with the Soldier. So Soldier is a Paul W.S. Anderson film. It's the movie he made after Mortal Kombat and Event Horizon. Mortal Kombat, I would love a deluxe release of that movie. That's one that would be nice. That's something I wish Arrow would release. Event Horizon's already got a pretty great collector's edition Blu-ray from Scream Factory. I would love it if it would get a 4K upgrade. We got a 4K upgrade of the movie put out by Paramount, but it has none of the special features from the Scream Factory release. So it's kind of ruins it. But Mortal Kombat has had a Blu-ray release, but nothing in the way of like a deluxe release. So that remains to be seen. But following the 1-2 punch of Mortal Kombat and Event Horizon, director Paul W.S. Anderson would team up with iconic action star Kurt Russell and scriptwriter David Webb Peoples, for the thrilling sci-fi adventure film Soldier. Sergeant Todd 3465, portrayed by Kurt Russell, is a veteran in the long line of soldiers raised from birth to become ruthless and remorseless killing machines. When the callous Colonel Macomb, Jason Isaacs, introduces a new line of stronger, genetically engineered fighters, Todd is judged obsolete and confined to the waste disposal planet of Arcadia 234. Taken in by a group of humble colonists, Todd reconnects with his lost humanity, gaining their acceptance and their friendship. But when Macomb unleashes his new elite squad on the planet, led by the fearsome Kane 607, Jason Scott Lee, Todd must reawaken the warrior within to protect his newfound community. That is pretty much the movie. I think one of the leaders of said community is what's her name? Completely blank. She was in Gladiator. It's Connie Nielsen. Yeah, Connie Nielsen. Michael Chiklis is in the movie. I don't remember him. Sean Pertwee is in the movie as well. He's one of these colonists too. It's a fun 90s B-esque, sci-fi action adventure movie. It's not one of Paul W.S. Anderson's best, I'll be honest. I feel like it's kind of lost amongst better movies. I think Event Horizon and even Mortal Kombat's better. And then, of course, after this, he would go on to do Resident Evil, and then the Resident Evil movies with Mila Jovovich kind of encompass a lot of the remainder and his current career. But let's see what we have for special features. New 4K restoration approved by director Paul W.S. Anderson, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film. It's archival audio commentary by director Paul W.S. Anderson, co-producer Jeremy Bolt, and actor Jason Isaacs. Reporting for duty, a brand new interview with actor James Black. Fire in the Hole, a brand new interview with assistant director Dennis McGuire. On the Front Lines, a brand new interview with associate producer Fred Fontana. Designing for the Future, a brand new interview with production designer David L. Snyder. Visual effects before and after, it's all about the effects. Weapons of the Mass Creation, interviews with the visual effects supervisors. A Soldier's Journey, a brand new interview with Danny Stewart, author of Soldier from Script to Screen. We Don't Need Another Hero, a brand new retrospective on film with historian Heath Holland. Yeah, with film historian Heath Holland. Archival electronic press kit, on-set interviews with cast and crew. There's a collector's booklet in here as well. Yeah, that's the movie Soldier. With Kurt Russell. If you're into Kurt Russell as an action star, he kicks a lot of ass in this movie. I'll say that. The whole third act is him just kicking ass. it's really fun and entertaining. I'll say that. I would definitely say that. Let's see. Moving on from there, we have The Eye. I didn't get to see it. Let's see. Following their explosive debut, Bangkok Dangerous, directorial duo the Peng brothers would catch the attention of acclaimed producer Peter Ho Sun Chan, and the three would collaborate on one of the most memorable horror films to come out of Hong Kong, the chilling and poignant The Eye. When blind musician Wong Kar-mun has her eyesight restored following a cornea transplant, she's initially astounded to discover the beauty of the world around her. Her nascent wonder soon turns to fear as her newfound sight becomes plagued with harrowing and uncanny visions. She confides in her psychiatrist, Dr. Wah, who believes her body is just adapting to her new corneas, but his skepticism quickly shatters when they realize Wong Kar-mun's visions are not hallucinations, but grim portents of death. Interesting. There's a new 4K restoration of the movie, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film, Reflections on the Eye, a brand new interview with producer Peter Ho Sun Chan, to see and to feel vision, empathy, and feminine ghost story in The Eye, a brand new visual essay on the film by critic and horror specialist Heather Wixon, an archival making of the featurette with interviews with producers Peter Ho Sun Chan and Lawrence Chang. Lawrence Chang and actors Angelica Lee and Lawrence Chu, an archival featurette on directors Danny and Oxide Peng, theatrical trailers, image gallery, and this is coming out April 21st in the US and Canada. Innerspace. Now, this is the Joe Dante movie, Innerspace. This is good stuff. This is probably my favorite release of these six. Innerspace, from director Joe Dante, who did Gremlins, he did The Burbs, he did Matinee, he did Small Soldiers. I love Joe Dante. He did the original Piranha. Yeah, he's great. And this is also produced by Steven Spielberg. Comes Innerspace, an action comedy adventure that will turn your world inside out. Maverick pilot Tuck Pendleton, Dennis Quaid, is about to make history as part of a scientific experiment to be miniaturized and injected into the body of a rabbit. But when rogue scientists steal the new technology, he finds himself injected into a hypochondriac grocery clerk, portrayed by Martin Short. And together with ace reporter Lydia Maxwell, who was portrayed by Meg Ryan, Jack must find the stolen tech that will get Tuck back to regular size and out of his body before the bad guys extract him by force. Yeah, this movie's a lot of fun. This movie's a lot of fun. New 4K restoration. There's a Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the movie. Brand new commentary by Drew McWeeny. Archival commentary with Joe Dante and a bunch of other people here. Shrinkage, the making of Innerspace, a brand new hour-long documentary featuring interviews with Joe Dante, the producer, visual effects people. Yeah, it looks really awesome. Behind the scenes with Joe Dante, previously unseen footage shot during the production of Innerspace. Behind the scenes at ILM, which is Industrial Light and Magic, which was Lucas's films company. So you get behind the scenes of that, original storyboards, continuity behind the scenes Polaroids, production stills gallery, posters and promo stills gallery, a reversible sleeve, double-sided fold-out poster. There's a booklet and as well, coming out April 28th. Yeah, this is definitely something I'm interested in getting this year. The Day of the Locust. So The Day of the Locust is John Schlesinger's film. John Schlesinger, who did Marathon Man, Midnight Cowboy. So Day of the Locust. I've talked about this movie before, but just for the sake of doing it again, um, this is a satire of like Hollywood. This movie is. Painter Todd Hackett, working in the art department of a movie studio during the 1930s golden age of Hollywood, falls in unrequited love with aspiring starlet Faye Greener. He competes for her affection against other men, a pair of cowboys, and a forlorn accountant. Let's see. As Faye's career fails to take her beyond roles as an extra, her life becomes increasingly desperate and her relationships with men take a darker turn, reaching fever pitch at a red carpet movie premiere that explodes into barbaric chaos. A bitter critique of Tinseltown's empty promises and lost souls cheated by them, featuring lush, dreamlike cinematography by Conrad Hall, one of the best. Conrad Hall was one of the best, and stunning performances by its talented cast. The Day of the Locust remains a relevant and shattering experience. I still need to get this movie. I have to get the US version. This is the UK version, but I believe it comes with the same exact specifications, same exact features, all this kind of stuff. So 2K restoration by Arrow Films. Um, let's see, brand new oral history audio commentary conducted by writer and film historian Lee Gambin, uh, you, which is it says featuring assistant directors Leslie Asplund and Charles Lacroix, and there's what like producers and all kinds of people in here. Welcome to West Hollywood, brand new appreciation of the film by critic Glenn Kenny. Days of the Golden Age costume historian and film historian Elisa Ross discusses the film's costumes in a brand new visual essay. Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Brand new visual essay on the film and its themes by critic and film historian Lee Gambin. Image galleries, reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork, illustrated collector's booklet as well. Yeah, that is Day of the Locust, or The Day of the Locust. And then we have The Killer. So this is the John Woo film, The Killer. Now, I've made mention that my favorite John Woo film, and I think one of the best action movies ever made, or maybe the best action movie ever made, is Hard Boiled. The second best action movie ever made, in my opinion, is John Woo's The Killer. So if you don't have one, you get the other, if you, in my opinion. But this is definitely something that I'm going to be getting. I'm trying to get all of the Hong Kong action films that Shot Factory's putting out. Arrow's putting them out as well. I'm trying to get all the Arrow versions of those releases. I believe they all have the same special features. I just prefer the Arrow releases over the Shot Factory releases. But if you've never seen The Killer, lock in, lock in, because it's awesome. Let's see. How do I read this here? Fresh from the success of the first two A Better Tomorrow films, in 1989, action maestro John Woo would unleash The Killer, a spectacular blend of explosive gunfights and dramatic performances, including the magnetic Chow Yun-fat as one of his most memorable roles. Ah-Chong, Chow Yun-fat, is a hitman whose latest job takes a wrong turn when, during a shootout at a lavish nightclub, he accidentally blinds the singer Jenny by firing his gun too close to her eyes. Racked with remorse, Ah-Chong decides to retire from his life of crime and help Jenny get a cornea transplant. But when Ah-Chong's rancorous former boss betrays him, Ah-Chong discovers an unexpected helping hand from hot-headed police detective Li Ying, who was portrayed by Danny Lee, who was in City on Fire. An international sensation, The Killer put Woo on the radar of genre fans the world over and inspired waves of imitators, but none that could outclass it. John Woo was such a revolutionary when it came to action films, creating this idea of gun fu, that he was just an influence on filmmakers many, many years to come. Even to this day, even to this day, with particularly The Killer and with Hard Boiled, two of the most influential action movies ever made. And this release here is pretty darn loaded. I believe it's all the same. It's a 3 disc release. Wow. It's got, I believe, all the same special features that the Shout Factory release has. So first up here, there's a reversible sleeve and double-sided fold-out poster, 6 postcard-sized reproduction art cards, collector's perfect bound booklet featuring new writings on the film as well, and then disc 1, new 4K restoration of the film, Dolby Vision HDR presentation of the film. You've got brand new commentary by director John Woo and film journalist Drew Taylor, brand new commentary by critic David West, 2 archival commentaries by John Woo, one with producer Terrence Chang, deleted and extended scenes, theatrical trailers, image gallery, disc 2, which is the Blu-ray. You have Hero of the Heroic Bloodshed, a brand new feature-length documentary on John Woo's career, a Bullet Ballet, a brand new interview with director John Woo, My Kind of Hero, a brand new interview with producer Terrence Chang, Editing the Killer, a brand new interview with editor David Wu, Hong Kong Confidential, a new appreciation by author Grady Hendrix, American Cinematique 2025 introduction with John Woo, archival interviews with cinematographer Peter Pa and actors Sally Ye and Kenneth Sang, 4 archival featurettes from 2001 with Wu and producer Sui Hark, and disc 3 is a high-definition presentation of the 130-minute Taiwan extended cut with lossless Mandarin mono audio and optional English subtitles. Contains a standard definition inserts. Option to view the extended cut with additional scenes from the Taiwan VHS release. Unrestored print of the extended cut standard definition with burnt-in subtitles only. Yeah. Coming April 20th. Okay. And then last here is Wandering Ginza Butterfly Collection. And this is 2 movies. And the 2 movies are, let's see. Let me see. I kind of sold that out. Let me actually see what the 2 movies are. The 2 movies are Wandering Ginza Butterfly and then Wandering Ginza Butterfly 2, She-Cat Gambler. Okay. So, the first film sees Kaji's character Nami, the Red Cherry Blossom, returning to her old stomping grounds in the seedy Tokyo district of Ginza after a stint in prison for killing a Yakuza boss. She soon settles in, living in her uncle's pool hall and working at the local hostess club, but when ruthless Yakuza Owada attempts to take control of the club, Nami and her uncle devise a plan to take him down. In the sequel, Kaji is paired up with the equally legendary Sandy Chiba at his most charismatic as the streetwise Ryuji, who takes a shine to Nami and decides to help her on her quest to avenge her father. Together, they'll comb through every seedy gambling den and low-life ruffian of the Ginza underworld until Nami finally zeroes in on her prey. Okay. Let's see. High-definition presentation of both films. Brand new audio commentary by Wandering Ginza Butterfly by Japanese cinema experts Patrick Macias and Matt Alt, hosts of the Pure Tokyo Scope podcast. Archival interview commentary, archival audio commentary by Wandering Ginza Butterfly. For Wandering Ginza Butterfly by Japanese cinema expert Chris D. Back to back in the Yakuza multiverse, a brand new interview with Patrick Macias and Matt Alt on the Wandering Ginza Butterfly 2, She-Cat Gambler. Genre Mill Memories, an archival interview with director Kazuhiko Yamaguchi. Butterfly and Scorpion, an archival appreciation of star Miko Kaji by Japanese action and pink film expert Jtaro Sugasaku. Original trailers for both films, reversible sleeve featuring new artwork for both films, collector's booklet featuring new writing on the films. And coming out April 7th in the US and Canada. Let's see. That is it for Arrow. Okay. Now we go over to Vinegar Syndrome, so hold on to your hats. So, yeah. But before we do that, I'll check the comments. Yeah, let me do that. Okay. Nothing quite there. I actually never seen. So Acres of Movies asked, "Do you like Henry and June, the Fred Ward movie?" I don't think I've seen Henry and June. So let me go over to Vinegar Syndrome. So Vinegar Syndrome had their announcements this past Sunday, which was the 1st of February. It gave me about less than 2 days to go over a lot of these, so please excuse me. It's this may be a little brief. So, in normal cases, when the Vinegar Syndrome and the partner labels have their announcements, depending on the day they fall on, it will decide how much time I have to go over them. Because once they are announced, they usually take precedent over anything else because it's a large batch of announcements. People are big fans of Vinegar Syndrome and their partner labels, so I want to make sure that you know people are going to be listening and watching, and normally people listen in and watch about about things they like. You know what I'm saying? Um, but when it drops on a Sunday and you typically record on Mondays, it's a little tough. So that's why I pushed the show here to Tuesday night. So it gives me a little bit of an extra day. But even with that extra day, you can only get through so many of these films as you can. I like to watch as many movies as I possibly can for chasing labels, just so I have some type of context to talk to you all about instead of me just listing off stuff. Like some of the movies that have been announced, I just didn't have time to watch. Sometimes you're not even able to find them. Um, and I don't know what it is recently. I've just been so unbelievably tired all of the time. Like there's that old adage like so much to do, so little time, and then there's also the old adage of like so many things you want to get done, but your body just doesn't let you get it all done. The mind is willing, but the body isn't able. And sometimes the body isn't able and the mind is willing. It's a thing. Anywho, before I go into all kind of other, diatribe here, let me, first of all, let me see. I want to make sure this is still plugged in. For some reason, sometimes I feel like my headphones aren't working. So, but let me see. So, Vinegar Syndrome. So like I said, normally I like to go through as many of these as I possibly can before the show, and it all depends on when the announcements are. This time it only gave me about 2 days. So a lot of these are things I'm going to be skipping over in the interest of time and the fact that I don't have anything to say about them. But when it comes to the partner labels, I got to see a bunch of them, and there's also other ones that I'm interested in that I will mention without going into like super duper detail because really don't have much to say. But some of the titles did look very interesting to me. So I'll go over those as well. So it'll be a little bit of a mix of things I have seen, things I haven't seen when it comes to the partner label stuff. But for Vinegar Syndrome proper, there are one, two, three, four, five releases. The five releases are Demon Warp, Bacterian, Body of Evidence. VSA is putting out Dead Boys Can't Fly. So the Vinegar Syndrome Archives, Dead Boys Can't Fly. And then Cinématographe is Boxcar Bertha, the Martin Scorsese film. Now, it's not Martin Scorsese's first film. I believe it's his second film. His first film is the movie Who's That Knocking at My Door, which needs a Blu-ray release. That needs a Blu-ray release. So does Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. That also needs a Blu-ray release. I know Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore may be getting a Criterion. So hold on for that. Whether it comes out this year, I don't know. It would be nice. It would be nice. But I got to see 3 out of 5 of these. Yes, I got to see um Demon Warp, Body of Evidence, and Boxcar Bertha. So those are the 3 we will talk about right now. Demon Warp, interesting movie. um I saw a lot of people buzzing about this. Specifically Brian Sauer from Pure Cinema Podcast, as well as Just the Discs, he had a very positive reaction to this being announced. So usually when he has a positive reaction to something, I perk up. You know, I mean, like, oh, this is something to pay attention to. Um, Something to pay attention to. And this is an interesting, low budgeted movie with a third act that is insane. Like the movie, like for 2/3 of the movie, it's kind of a relatively standard, super low budget people walking in the woods, getting attacked type of like horror movie. You know what I mean? Like this weird monster creature looks like Bigfoot is attacking these people, right? And then the third act, when it's more is revealed, you're like, holy shit, this is nuts. So Uh, the the uh, the synopsis is as such: Bill Crafton is enjoying a quiet vacation in a remote cabin with his daughter Julie when all of a sudden a giant Bigfoot-like creature bursts in, killing Julie and dragging her body off into the woods. A few months later, young Jack Bergman, the nephew of the cabin's owner, arrives with his friends under the guise of a fun-filled few days in the wilderness. However, when they find the place ransacked, Jack is forced to reveal the true purpose of his trip to investigate the recent disappearance of his uncle Clem, amidst reports of other strange goings on in the area. Sure enough, when night falls, Bigfoot reappears and attacks the group, dragging two of them away. As dawn breaks, Jack and the rest of his friends prepare to hunt the beast and unknowingly set off on a journey of bloody, otherworldly terror. Now, like I said, this is a super low budget movie. Takes place like entirely in the woods in the middle of nowhere. Not really great acting going on. Not terrible. I've seen worse. I've seen worse movies like this put out by Vinegar Syndrome and others. Um, George Kennedy is in the movie, um, v- relatively briefly. Like they probably put his name on the poster because he's the most well-known actor in the movie. But like, don't watch this being like, oh, I can't wait to watch this George Kennedy movie, because it's not that type of movie. But these these um young people, because they're all young people, they set out to kind of figure out what's going on. And like I said, the third act comes along and you're like, holy shit, this is nuts. I won't say anything else. um Let me just get into the special features. So it's a 2-disc set, 4K UHD, and a Blu-ray. 4K UHD presented in Dolby Vision high dynamic range, newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 35mm original camera negative. Commentary track with director Emmett Alston and producer Richard L. Albert. Moderated by Jim Branscombe of Cinematic Void. I think we've had Jim Branscombe on Chasing Labels before. Beast and Breasts, an interview with actress Michelle Bauer. Some of it was stupid. An interview with writer Jim Burgess. Of Aesthetic Beauty and Bigfoot, an interview with director of photography R. Michael Stringer. That's 37 minutes long. Damn, that's a long interview. Composing Demon Warp, an interview with composer Dan Slider. Audio interview with actor Hank Stratton, conducted by Yuan Kant. That's 36 minutes long. Gee. Effects gallery with narration by effects supervisor Mark Wolf. Nah, yeah, so that is Demon Warp. Next, like I said, is it's the movie Body of Evidence. So we'll talk about Body of Evidence. I didn't get to see Bacterian, so we'll skip over that in the interest of time and my sanity. So this is a 1990s erotic thriller with Willem Dafoe and Madonna. And when I say erotic thriller, there is a plethora of sex scenes in this movie. Like every 20 minutes, there's a sex scene in this movie. I haven't seen Willem Dafoe have this many sex scenes in a movie ever. Ever. It's kind of crazy. Um, when wealthy Andrew Marsh is found dead of a heart attack in bed, the police don't know what to make of the homemade sex tape he died watching, nor the fact that he was discovered handcuffed. As it comes out that his much younger BDSM inclined girlfriend Rebecca Carlson was not only in that sex tape but also in his will for an $8 billion inheritance. District Attorney Robert Garrett goes after her, accusing Rebecca of having cunningly made her own body the murder weapon, and with public opinion against her, only Carlson's defense attorney, Frank Delaney, seems to believe that she's innocent, but that's before things get considerably rougher, both in the court and in the uneasy confidence between Rebecca and her chosen counsel. So, setting the scene here. The young woman here who is accused of killing this older gentleman in the throes of sexual passion is portrayed by Madonna. Her defense attorney is portrayed by Willem Dafoe. The attorney who is prosecuting them is portrayed by Joe Mantegna. And Willem Dafoe and Madonna's character have a raucous affair in this movie, like salacious. This movie is like such a sleazy, sexy 90s thriller. Like I said, like comes a point in this movie where like every 20 minutes there's a sex scene that happens. It's kind of nuts. and it's complete with like the most ridiculous sex scene music you've ever heard. The saxophones and 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 all this kind of stuff. It's kind of almost comical, if you will. It's not a great movie. Unfortunately for me, it, it it does check all the marks of like 90s psychosexual thriller stuff. Willem Dafoe, he's the man. I mean, I've never not watch a Willem Dafoe film, but the movie itself is really not that great. Madonna is a femme fatale of femme fatales, I'll say that. But I think overall the movie's just not particularly great. For me, at least this movie's not really good enough to where I would be like, I've got to buy this now. You know what I mean? Let's see what we have here for special features. 2-disc set, 4K UHD, and a Blu-ray, 4K UHD, presented in Dolby Vision High Dynamic HDR, newly scanned and restored in 4K from its original 35mm camera negative, presented in 2 cuts, both on UHD and Blu-ray, unrated director's cut and R-rated theatrical cut. Seamless sensual cinematography, an interview with cinematographer Douglas Milsom, the production of Provocation, an interview with director Yuli Edel, The Madonna and the Whore, a video essay by Jennifer Mormon, PhD, on Body of Evidence, Love or Murder, an archival making a featurette, 40-page perfect bound book with essays by Scout Tafoya, Walter Chaw, and Abby Bender. And so that is the 4K UHD release of Body of Evidence, put out by Vinegar Syndrome. Next up here is Boxcar Bertha. Here we go. Here we go. Like I mentioned earlier, Boxcar Bertha has been released in high definition before by a now, I believe, out of print Blu-ray put out by Twilight Time. Oh, okay. So Twilight Time put it out in 2016. And then it looks like, I believe, that looks like Sandpiper Pictures, and there it is. I believe Sandpiper Pictures picked up the rights in 2022. I think I may have talked about it at that time. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, because we would have been talking about Chasing Labels. Chasing Labels would have been around at that time. So, Twilight Time has the rights. They put out a Blu-ray of it in 2016. The licensing rights lapse. They're out there in the open. Somebody's got to pick them up. Sandpiper picks them up, puts out a Blu-ray in 2022. It looks like that Blu-ray, the license for that Blu-ray is now up, and I think Vinegar Syndrome picked it up. So that's how that worked. I'm assuming it must have been a short licensing for Sandpiper. Maybe 3 years? I feel like 3 years, that seems like the time frame, because it's now 2026. And yeah. So, and I believe the original Blu-ray release from Twilight Time only had an isolated score as a special feature, so you're not really missing or losing anything. And Sandpiper Pictures doesn't do any special features. I don't even know if they carry over special features from the movies that they pick up the licenses of. But Boxcar Bertha, this is the oh my goodness, when is it coming? This is the 1972 Martin Scorsese film. This was produced by Roger Corman, made through Roger Corman's AIP company at the time, I think. And yeah, it's the movie he made before he made Mean Streets. let me just read it here. So Boxcar Bertha, let's see. Yeah, Boxcar Bertha Thompson, portrayed by Barbara Hershey, a transient young woman living in the American South in the 1930s, rides the rails, bouncing from job to job and town to town, often leaving dishonest men in their wake. She eventually comes across Big Bill Shelley, portrayed by David Carradine. A hardworking laborer turned union organizer, they quickly develop a romantic relationship, and along with two friends, Rake Brown and Von Morton, begin an old-fashioned crime spree, robbing banks and trains and becoming fast enemies of both the railway company and local law enforcement. The sophomore narrative feature from Martin Scorsese, who also co-edited the movie. Boxcar Bertha bears not only many of the hallmarks of his filmography to come, but those of producers Roger and Julie Corman as well. Adapted from the book Sister of the Road, the autobiography of Boxcar Bertha, Scorsese's film combines elements of true crime grit with style and excess expected in drive-in exploitation pictures of the 1970s, long overlooked in the filmography of one of the American and world cinema's greatest filmmakers. Cinématographe is proud to bring Martin Scorsese's Boxcar Bertha to 4K UHD for the first time in the world from a new restoration supervised by Martin Scorsese himself. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in years. I think I saw it maybe streaming on Filmstruck back when Filmstruck was around. And I don't think I've seen, so this would have been maybe 10 years ago, maybe a little less than 10 years ago, within the last decade, I'll say. So I haven't seen it in a while, but I've always wanted it. Like I said, a, Martin Scorsese is my favorite living director, probably. And I revere all of his work mightily. And I think he's kind of he's the cinephile you aspire to be if you're a cinephile, in my opinion. At least he's the level of cinephile I inspire to be, in my opinion. And this movie is interesting because it's his, early films from filmmakers are fascinating to me because you're seeing them try to figure things out. You're seeing them try things out and see what works, see what doesn't work, and them just learning the craft of filmmaking, them having the opportunity to make a movie. Like I said before this, he had done Who's That Knocking at My Door, and then after this, he would do Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, New York, New York. He would go on and on. This movie is so fascinating in his career because like I said, it's his B picture. It's like kind of like a grindhouse-ish movie, but it's made by Scorsese, so it doesn't quite have that grit of a grindhouse movie. It's got a little more polish to it because he's such a good filmmaker. Famously, John Cassavetes hated this movie. John Cassavetes ripped Martin Scorsese so bad for this movie. Like, he hated it. That's a little funny tidbit there. To the point where I think it changed Martin Scorsese's career trajectory. Like, that's how bad he ripped it. But I guess you have to have friends who are going to criticize you. You know what I mean? Going to be honest with you. Not going to BS you. And obviously it all worked out for Scorsese in going forward. But for special features, 2-disc set, 4K UHD disc, new audio commentary by film critic Adrian Martin, and there's a Blu-ray disc as well. A new talent. Oh, Adrian Martin is also our friend. He's been here on Chasing Labels twice. A new talent, a new video interview with Ian Christie, editor of Scorsese on Scorsese. I think I may have that book. Maybe. I'm going to go look at my shelves afterward. I'm looking over because my shelves with all my movie books is way over there. But any way you can, a new video interview with actor Barry Primus. What price a crucifix tree, female protagonist and the suffering servants of Scorsese. A new video essay by film historian Daniel Kramer. Trailers from Hell, Julie Corman and Chris Wilkinson on Boxcar Bertha. Turner Classic Movies introduction to the film by Ben Mankiewicz, featuring interview footage with producer Roger Corman. Now, that's really big. That's big because you don't really see those on a lot of DVDs and Blu-rays now. There were some DVDs that had them. I know I'm saying this, that not a lot of them have it, but I would love if those were included more so. I'm not sure who has the rights to those. I'm assuming Warner Brothers, because TCM is part of Warner Brothers. So I would assume that they own the rights to the intros that you see on Turner Classic Movies. Um, but I wish they included those more, or I wish there was like an archive. I don't know. There may be people listening, people watching. Are there an archive of just Turner Classic Movies intros to movies? I would love that. That would just be something that would be kind of cool, just to watch. Um, where was I? Oh yeah, gallery of rarely seen storyboards for the film drawn by Martin Scorsese. A booklet with a new interview with Martin Scorsese, as well as essays by film critics Robert Daniels, Bill Jabari, Beatrice Loaza, and Glenn Kenny, author of Made Men: The Story of Goodfellas. So yeah, this is a release I have to get. Let me see how many copies. I think there's over 2,000 copies left. There are. This is a release I have to get this year. Like this is one of my must-haves of the year, just because I'm such a gigantic Martin Scorsese fan. I've learned so much by watching Martin Scorsese movies, listening to him talk about movies, listening to him talking about making of movies, talking about his favorite movies and why they're his favorite movies. It's such an education in and of itself. It really, really is. So that's Boxcar Bertha, 4K UHD of that, a cinematograph release of that. Let's move over now to the partner labels. Let's see where we are for time. We're at the 3 hour mark. Let's see. Will it take me an hour to get through some of these? We shall see. Um, let's see. I'm looking at some comments. Sorry, I blanked down here. Let's see. So, Acres of Movies asked, body of evidence has commentary and features. Yes, it does. I just went over them, but let me see. Let's see. So, body of evidence, interestingly, that Acres of Movies you bring it up does not have a commentary, but it has interviews. But it has an interview with the director. That's interesting. They couldn't get a commentary. Fascinating. Fascinating. Let's see. Acres of Movies. I like those trial thriller ones like Jagged Edge and this. Yeah, that is an interesting. There was a lot of like courtroom drama, court yeah, courtroom drama thrillers from the 90s. I'm thinking of like The Pelican Brief. Um, I'm thinking of several of them. The one with Matthew McConaughey and Sandra Bullock and Samuel L. Jackson. I'm completely blanking on, but that's another one. Uh, there was a lot of them in the 90s. Let's see. Um, Acres of Movies asks, what movie rights for special home media do you want to get? If I wish I owned them. The thing is, I wouldn't even know what to do with them if I did own them. I guess I would just sell them to a company. Um, there are certain movies that I still wish had better releases than they have now. I've always talked about certain movies that are stuck on DVD, still don't have Blu-rays. I'm just thinking about them all the time. The Station Agent is one that I bring up all the time. There's also Four Feathers, the one with Heath Ledger, which I'm shocked to this day doesn't have a Blu-ray release here in the US. I don't know why that kind of baffles me that it doesn't. Uh, those are always two I really, really want. There's a lot of other DVDs that I have that I think have gotten Blu-ray releases so far that I just need to upgrade. Yeah, I'm just looking over at random spots. Like In the Bedroom finally got a Blu-ray release last year from um from Imprint. Yeah, got an Imprint release. That was one that I waited years and years and years to get. Thank goodness that finally happened. I mean, Dogma finally came back in print last year, which was really, really nice. Let's see. Um, Yeah, I heard about that. So Acres Movies said that there was a quality control issue. That no, the Fun City Special Edition had an issue. I'm not sure what the issue was with that because I've had that edition for years. And I know Married to the Mob just got reissued by Cinematograph, and I'm curious about getting that edition to kind of do a little compare and contrast. So that's something I still need to do, but I'll keep that in mind whenever I get it, and to do a little compare and contrast. Um, oh, the Acres of Movies answered my question for me. It says it would mute the main audio when you would play the commentary. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to try that out to see if it happens with my player, or see if it happens when I do that. Um, is the Stuntman? Is that the movie? Because I think if that's the movie, I think it is. I gonna be. I want to get that. So the Stuntman is. Yeah, the Stuntman is the movie from 1980 with Peter O'Toole and Steve Railsback, Barbara Hershey. Yeah, I actually really like that movie a lot. We talked about it here on Chasing Labels a little while ago because Radiance is giving it a 4K release, and that's coming out this month, actually. That's another release I really need to get. I need to get that. I need to get Night of the release of Night of the Juggler. Those are two the kind of main releases I got to get from them. Uh, now that you remind me, thank you for reminding me, Acres of Movies. I've got to get the Stuntman. I've got to get Night of the Juggler. Let's see. Acres of Movies says, "Can you please do a Martin Scorsese impression? Maybe him talking about color and money and color in general and its importance." I wish I could do a Martin Scorsese um, impression. I wouldn't dare try to do it. Oh, he's another. I mean, you talk about things that amuse me. Um, there's certain things from Martin Scorsese that amuse me. Oh, for those of you who are Martin Scorsese fans, watch the first episode of The Studio. He's in it, and he's incredible in it. It's so great. Um, let's see. Acres of Movie says McConaughey calls you and says he should. He says, "Should I be the new Bond villain or should I be Quint nephew in New Jaws?" Um, new Bond villain. Why not? What's a better throw, Wicker Park or Arlington Road? I think I've only seen Wicker Park. So Wicker Park. Uh, Acres of Movies asks, if 2002 had more than 5 nominations and had 10 nominations, what do you think would be nominated for Best Picture? Well, we have to go back to 2002, which is a time and a half ago. I could tell you that. 2002. Oh boy, let me look. Luckily, my letterbox is open. Because 2002. Why am I blank on every movie from that year? Let's see. Oh, that was the year Chicago won. Okay. That was the year Chicago won Best Picture. I, I don't even remember what the. Actually, let me go check what the nominees were for that year. Because I want to say something that's an actual nominee already from that year. It's that would be reducing the point. Let's see, Chicago. I do wonder if a musical is ever going to win Best Picture again. It's just something random in my head. Let's see. Go back to 2002. That's a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Okay. So in 2002, the Best Picture nominees were Chicago, Gangs of New York, The Hours, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and The Pianist. The other five I would add to that, um, Punch Drunk Love, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie, City of God, I would add that. Let's see, what else am I adding to 2002? Um, Spielberg's Catch Me If You Can. So that's three. And then for funsies, not funsies, adaptation, the Charlie Kaufman film. Let's see, what else do we have here? No, I need one more. I need one more. You know what? You know what? Secretary. Secretary. Yeah, we'll add that just for funsies. Why not? Oh, I was right. So Acres Movies, it was the Peter O'Toole movie that's Acres Movies was talking about, Stuntman. Let me see, actually. That's a good question. So Acres Movies asks, does it port over the um special features from the Seven release? So Seven Films put out the Stuntman on Blu-ray back in 2011. Talk about a time ago. And it has quite a few special features. Let me go check. Let me go check Radiance's website really quickly. The Stuntman. So let me check. Interesting. I don't know if it carries over the special features. I can tell you that the Radiance release has a new audio commentary with critics Christina Newland and Monica Castillo. And the Seven release had an audio commentary with the writer-director Richard Rush, along with Peter O'Toole and Barbara Hershey and the other stars of the movie. So that right there is completely different. Oh no, it does have it. No, I lied. It does have it. Because it says right here, archival cast and crew commentary with writer-director Richard Rush and actors Peter O'Toole, Steve Railsback, Barbara Hershey. So it does carry over that. I think it's got everything because it's got it's got archival interview with Richard Rush, archival interview with Peter O'Toole, archival interview with Steve Railsback. It's got a long documentary, um, feature length making of documentary directed by Richard Rush called The Sinister Saga of Making the Stuntman. That's not on the Seven release, at least I don't think. No, it's not. I think it's got. I think it's got all of the. Yeah, I think it has all the special features from that Seven release. I could be wrong. I'm just quickly going over it side to side here. Um, that's what it looks like. I don't think so. Acres Movies asked, "Do you think I Play Rocky will get nominated for Best Picture?" I I haven't seen the movie yet, but I don't think so. I mean, granted, there seems to be, biopics seem to be a very very hot item for Academy of voters. I mean, there seems to be one almost every year for the most part. So who knows? But I don't see that right now. But where was I? Oh yeah. Let me go back to let me go to the partner labels here at Vinegar Syndrome because we have quite a few to go through. So let me just read all these down and we'll get into them. So from Utopia, we have The Accidental Getaway Driver. From Magnolia Pictures, we have Bad Luck Banging or Loony Porn. From Brainstorm Media, we have The Banished. From IFC Films, we have Blackberry. From Club Super 8, we have The Bleeder. From Film Movement Classics, we have Bye Bye Brazil. From Wild Eye Releasing, we have Cat Sick Blues. From VHS Hit Fest, we have Dead of Night. From Saturn's Core, Deadwood Park. From America Genre Film Archive, we have Embalmer. From Bleeding Skull, we have, oh boy, um, Folie Meurtrier and the films of Antoine Pellissier. From Watermelon Pictures, we have The Glassworker. From Art Label, we have the movie Hoagie. From ETR Media, we have The Image Revolution. From Willa, we have La Cucina. Let's see. From Connie or Canon, we have Looking for an Angel. From Umbrella Entertainment, we have Love and Other Catastrophes. From Shudder, we have Out Come the Wolves. From several futures, we have Petite Solange. From Film Movement Classics, we have Shanghai Blues. From Film Movement, we have Solvent. From Film Movement Classics, we have Suo Duo, 2 films by Masayuki Suo. From Factory 25, we have Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. From No Budge, we have Teddy Out of Tune. And from Dark Star, we have Unspeakable Beyond the Wall of Sleep. I think that's it. That is it. All right. So working backwards here a little bit. Yet again, due to a time crunch, I didn't get to see as many of these that I wanted to. So I can't really get into too much in depth about the quality of these movies, and I don't really want to cover things I've not really seen here, just for the sake of time and my mental state. But what I do want to mention a couple of the movies that I did want to see here, going backwards here, starting from the bottom, going back up to the top. Swamp Dogg Gets His Pool Painted. I've heard is a really good documentary, like a really cool documentary about a very interesting person. And I couldn't find it to watch anywhere because it's a relatively new-ish movie. It came out in 2024, and I couldn't find it anywhere to watch. So I really wanted to see it, just couldn't find it anywhere. Yeah, so I also wanted to see. This was more of a time thing. Film Movement Classics, anything Film Movement Classics put out or Film Movement put out, I'm automatically interested in seeing. So the Suo Duo, 2 films by Masayuki Suo, are 2 films that I wanted. I wanted to see these movies. So the 2 movies are Fancy Dance and Sumo Do, Sumo Don't. And I wanted to see these movies and I just didn't have the time. You know, if I had another several days, I probably would have watched them. It's a 2-disc edition. It's a video introduction by Masayuki Suo, archival interviews with actors Naoto Takanaka, Hiromasa Taguchi, and director Masayuki Suo. 16-page booklet as well. And let me go back to my Letterboxd because I think I had seen movies from this director before, maybe. No, I haven't. I thought I did. I hadn't before. But Fancy Dance, for some reason, sounds familiar to me. I don't know why. Maybe some other company is releasing it. I don't really know. But anywho, I really wanted to see these movies, just didn't have the time. Another such case is Solvent. Solvent sound interesting to me at the very least. It says an American expat joins a team of experts searching an abandoned Austrian farmhouse for historical Nazi documents that may be hidden within it. However, when they discover a secret buried deep in the home's bowels, the team is forced to confront an ancient, insatiable evil intent on consuming them and everything they hold dear. Sounds like an interesting horror movie to me. This release only had only one feature. Solvent Locations featurette. That is it. Yet again, it's put out by Film Movement, so I want to check it out. But I did get to see this Film Movement Classics release in Shanghai Blues. This is a Sui Hark film. Sui Hark is the director of Peking Opera Blues. Let me see what else Sui Hark has directed that I've seen. Actually watched this last night. Yeah, Sui Hark directed Once Upon a Time in China, Peking Opera Blues. Also directed The Blade. Also directed Knockoff, which not a great movie, not a great movie. But he also directed Once Upon a Time in China 2, Once Upon a Time in China 3. Uh, yeah, let's see. But Shanghai Opera Blues. So in 1937, after the Second Sino-Japanese War breaks out, a soldier and a young woman have an awkward meet cute in darkness under a bridge as they seek refuge during a bomb raid. So the Second Sino-Japanese War is the war between China and Japan. For those of you not historically inclined, people don't know this, but Japan invaded China before World War II. Um, yeah, so these two people are hiding out from a bombing under a bridge. Although they can't see each other's faces, they promise to meet again after the dust settles. 10 years later, the soldier, now a burgeoning songwriter and tuba player in a marching band, is back in town desperately searching for his would-be soulmate. As fate would have it, they end up living in the same building unbeknownst to each other. Through a series of mishaps, he mistakes her new ingenue roommate for his love interest, and wacky love triangle hijinks ensue. Consummate author Sui Hark almost single-handedly reinvented Hong Kong cinema in the 80s and 90s with uber-kinetic genre opuses, amping up cinematic spectacle, whether with special effects or sheer unbridled energy. This Hong Kong-styled homage to the screwball comedies of yesteryear features black belt-level slapstick and delightfully droll rom-com shenanigans. Yeah, this movie reminded me a lot of screwball comedies of like the 1930s and 1940s, and that's kind of why I really like the movie a lot. It's like expertly well toned. It's light. It moves. It's so well made. It's so well done. Um, I really liked it a lot. I thought it's great. Let's see. There's a 4K restoration. It was supervised from the original camera negative by Sui Hark, with Limousin Ritrovata, and the soundtrack remixed by One Cool Sound, directed by Sui Hark. It came out in 1984. Two-disc set, 4K UHD, as well as a Region A Blu-ray. Interviews with director-producer Sui Hark and film coordinator Oh Sing Pui. Commentary by Hong Kong film expert Frank Zhang. Frank Zhang, yeah, Frank Zhang. I was gonna say, 16-page booklet with essay by film critic John Charles. Frank Zhang, he shows up on a lot of special features. A lot of special features. And that is Shanghai Blues, put out by Film Movement. Now, Petite Solange sounded so interesting to me. Petite Solange, of course, translating to, I think, Little Solange. It's a movie about a young 13-year-old girl whose parents are going through a divorce, and how it affects her, the trauma that it inflicts on her and her response to that. It's something we see in society all the time, where the actions of the adults often reflect onto the children. And we see that a lot. At least that's the general gist I got from what that movie is about. Um, uh, I do subscribe to the Shutter streaming service, so I was able to watch Out Come the Wolves. Not great. It's not great. I don't even want to get into it because it's just kind of a waste of time. The movie is um it's about there's this couple, and there's well it's three people are in a cabin in the woods. They're out there to kind of hang out, to hunt, all this kind of stuff. The two guys end up going out to hunt for like deer or whatever, and they end up getting attacked by wolves. And you can assume what happens after that. I mean, I don't really have to spell this out to people. Um, You know what I'm saying? It's exactly what the title of the movie suggests. How come the wolves? There's wolves. There you go. That's the movie. What I watched yesterday, or I think it was yesterday afternoon, was the movie called Love and Other Catastrophes. Now, this is being put out by Umbrella Entertainment, and this is a movie from Australia from 1996, and it's very much in the vein of like a 1990s independent movie about 20 somethings. It reminded me a lot of like Reality Bites, that movie. If you know Reality Bites, you know what I'm saying. It reminded me a lot of that. Uh, Mia, an ambitious film studies student, finds herself entangled in a web of relationships and miscommunications. Her housemate Alice is a frustrated perfectionist 4 years late with her thesis and looking for a man to fit her rigorous relationship criteria. Their search for love and and a new housemate transcends the boundaries of the university and their retrospective disciplines. As the day ends and the party begins, events begin to unscramble in unexpected ways. Um, Love conquers all. It's a very interesting movie dealing with the entanglement of like college aged individuals who are going through college aged individual things, and it's a lighter kind of version of that. Like there's this one sequence where one of the characters, the movie takes place within these four characters. Primarily these Mia um and her friend Alice. Those are two out of the four characters. One of them is trying to transfer to like another academic department or whatever, and she needs to get like certain signatures from certain department heads. One won't give her one won't like one of the people she needs to see won't cooperate with her, so she's got to go see another one. And then that person says, "Oh, you got to go see this person," and that person says, "You got to see this person." So there's like a kind of like stuff like that going on. There's relationship things going on in the movie. Yet again, like I said, it reminded me of something like a Reality Bites or some other type of independent movie like that from the '90s. It felt very, very '90s, but it all takes place like centered in film school, so there's all kind of film references in the movie, which I really, really liked. It's trying to be a little bit of Clerks, kind of like Clerks when it comes to the cadence of the the dialogue and what they're talking about, the pop culture of the time and things like that. It's kind of like a Clerks light, if you will. This release here has only two special features. As an audio commentary with director Emma K. Krogan, interview with actor Matt Day. So that is it. That is it. It's called Love and Other Catastrophes. Looking for an Angel. Now, this is a movie, yet again, another crazy, weird art house, surreal movie that has absolutely no plot. None whatsoever. Well, it does and it doesn't. More leaning to the it doesn't part. So mostly seen on the gay pink circuit and recently restored by its director to its rightful place in Japanese art house canon, Akihiro Suzuki's debut takes the death of a young gay porn performer named Takachi as its starting point. Looking for an Angel follows Shinpei and Riko as they process their friend's disappearance, uh, their memories coalescing into a bold exploration of grief set against the backdrop of a nostalgic, blue-hued city shot in a variety of filmic formats. As the viewer begins to piece together Takachi's story, laden with desire for another boy named Sorao between the cities of Tokyo and Kochi. um, a powerful free associative beauty emerges from a unique work described by Suzuki himself as neither straight, gay, queer, bisexual, asexual, or pornographic, but rather anti-heterosexist. Interesting turn of phrase there. A film completely free of dogma and convention. Very true. This movie is shot in all kinds of formats, no real plot, no real sense of plot structure. It is it's so bizarre, so unique. It's a film unlike I've ever seen before. It's very similar to Pink Narcissus, which I talked about earlier, in the sense of its free and openness and bravery and just you know non-conventional, and it's bravery to be non-conventional just for the sake of being non-conventional. It's truly unique and truly unique. And the movie only runs an hour long. It's only an hour long. It's almost like a thought experiment as a movie. It's not. I don't even know if you could call it a movie. Perhaps it's so unique. But anywho, the special features are: there's an interview with director Akihiro Suzuki, commentary by director By commentary track by Dakota Newt, co-host of Two in the Pinku podcast. Bonus feature: new scan of Angel's body temperature from 2003. That runs 82 minutes long. That's an extra movie. Selected scene commentary by Dakota Newt on Angel's body temperature. Booklet with new writing by Elizabeth Purcell. And so that is Looking for an Angel. Let's see. So La Cochina I did not get to see. Oh, ETR Media is putting out another documentary. This is a documentary from 2013 called The Image Revolution. And I think I had seen it years ago, but I couldn't quite remember. It's available to stream on Tubi. And for comic book fans, you know the story well. There's nothing in here that's too revelatory for any of us. This is about the formation and the history of Image Comics. Image Comics is one of the indie labels when it comes to the world of comic books. So, in the world of comic books, very similarly structured to, I guess, the world of movie labels, if you will. They're the big ones, in the comic book world. The big ones are DC and Marvel, and then you have the indie labels. But you have certain levels of indie labels, right? Same thing with the movie world. Certain levels of indie labels, boutique labels, like we do here on Chasing Labels, right? But in the comic book world, you've got that as well. So you got the two main ones, DC Comics, which has Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Justice League, and then you have Marvel, which has Spider-Man, X-Men, Captain America, Iron Man, the Hulk, right? And then you got the indie world where you have Image Comics. Image Comics, where they do comics like The Walking Dead and Invincible, which has an animated series on Amazon right now. They do there was the Paper Girls was one they did. I think they do a bunch of comics, right? You have other indie comics like Dark Horse. Dark Horse does Hellboy. We know the Hellboy movies from Guillermo del Toro, right? So that's Dark Horse. You have Boom Studios. You've got all kinds of other ones, right? But anywho, for our intents and purposes, Image Comics has an interesting history. Interesting history is because Image Comics started in 1992-ish, late 1991, 1992, where 7 of like the major artists and creators at Marvel Comics left. They left Marvel Comics and went and formed their own company in Image Comics. Well, it was almost like 7 different companies in one, and they were all partnered up, and that's what's formed Image Comics. Image Comics is where you get characters like Spawn and things like that. So this documentary kind of tells like the formation of them, they interview all the different people like Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, um, Mark Silvestri, um, all kinds of people, Eric Larson, right? Everybody. And gives you like a brief history of Marvel Comics in the 90s, how massive they became. They were outselling everybody, right? But it also tells you about all of the stuff going on behind the scenes and how how things kind of fell apart a little bit. Anywho, Image Comics still exists to this day, so they didn't fall apart entirely. But um it's an okay documentary. I think it's kind of a little haphazardly structured, to be quite honest, in terms of like how it's structuring its timeline of events. It kind of bounces around a little bit, which kind of bothers me uh, a viewer, if you will, because when it comes to documentary filmmaking, you need kind of a set order. For narrative filmmaking, I don't mind if the movie's all over the place. That's just art for the sake of art. But documentary are like instructive, educational. They're trying to tell us information. At least structure the information well. You know what I'm saying? Um, but like I said, it's not anything too revelatory for those of you who know the story already. For those of you who don't know the story of Image Comics and how that company was formed, you may be a little lost, actually. That's another issue. It doesn't really hold your hand when it comes to getting into the information. Kind of just throws you in there. It only runs like 80 minutes long, so I understand they had to maybe cut some corners for some time, but yeah, it kind of bothered me a little bit. But for um oh, Jim Lee was another one of the big names. Um but for special features, there's a director's commentary, additional interview footage from the original filmmaking sessions, uh, Catching Up with Rob Liefeld 10 years later, The Image Revolution, What Happened Since the Film. So since the movie came out in 2013, obviously it's a little outdated in terms of information because that's 12, 13 years ago now. A lot has happened in the world of comic books in the last 13 years. I can tell you that. I can tell you that. Especially in the world of Image Comics. Like this 2013, The Walking Dead just had become a massive hit. And like a gigantic hit at this time. It's since it's gone on to be, the show's ended. There's tons of spin-offs for The Walking Dead. The world of comics is vastly different now. It's interesting. It's interesting. But anywho, um, that's the release of The Image Revolution by ETR Media. It looks like they're already down to standard editions. Yeah, they're already down to standard editions. So hot seller, hot seller. The movie Hoagie I didn't get to see. This movie's brand new. This movie I think is having screenings right now. This is another one that looks like it's sold out limited edition wise, and you can only get it in standard definition. This is a movie from 2025, so this is still, I think, getting theatrical exhibitions. The Glass Worker. So this is a Pakistani animated film. This is also down from the standard editions as well. This movie is a young glassblower's world is upended when a violinist and her father arrive in town during a time of war, challenging his relationships and ideals. Yes, this movie is very similar to a Studio Ghibli film in terms of its thematic depth, in terms of its story structure, in terms of its animation style, if you will. Um, yeah, it's a really good animated film. Came out in 2024. There's a lot going on in it. It reminded me actually of there were parts of the movie that reminded me of Cinema Paradiso, and you have to see the movie to kind of understand what I'm saying. It's not actually exactly similar in at all, but there's just moments of it because the whole movie is structured around this young man who he finds a long lost letter that he never got from someone that he knew when he was younger. So he's reminiscing about his past. He's going back to his past, his relationship with his father, his relationship with this young woman, his relationship with the townspeople, and all that kind of stuff. That reminded me a lot of Cinema Paradiso. So for in the way of special features for this release, there's a making of documentary and a storyboard gallery, and that is it. That is it. So the movie is the Glass Worker. I didn't get to see the Bleeding Skull release, Folie Meurtrier and the films of Antoine Pellissier. I didn't get to see the ACFA release and Embalmer. Deadwood Park, I didn't get to see. That's the Saturn's Core release. I would say that's the VHS Hitfest release. Dead of Night is actually a TV series, which we typically do not get when it comes to these partner releases. Created by real life security guards Wayne Spitzer and Andy Coupon. Coupon. Oh, that's an interesting name. Dead of Night is an ambitious supernatural shot on video TV series that aired on Spokane Cable Access from 1994 to 1997. Fascinating. Fascinating. Called Dead of Night. Cat Sick Blues, I did not get to see, but it sounded very interesting. So this movie centers around the death of someone's beloved cat, and they kind of go crazy. And they kind of let's see. Yeah, basically he goes crazy because of grief, and he's convinced that he's got to take 9 lives in order to bring his cat back to life. You can kind of assume how crazy that gets. Bye Bye Brazil, I did not get to see, but this is a Brazilian film. Right now, Brazilian movies are in the zeitgeist. They're in the zeitgeist. We have The Secret Agent, which came out last year, which is getting a lot of critical buzz. It seems to be that movie, The Secret Agent, as well as Sentimental Value, are like the two biggest in like international hits, I think. But Bye Bye Brazil is a movie from 1979. It's in Portuguese. Yeah, and it's something I wanted to check out, but I just did not get the opportunity to. And again, time being a thing. Let's see. So the Bleeder I didn't get to see. Oh, Blackberry. So Blackberry I saw when it came out. What, almost 3 years ago now? This is down to standard editions as well, and um, it's the true story of the meteoric rise and catastrophic demise of the world's first smartphone, BlackBerry. BlackBerry is a whirlwind ride through a ruthlessly competitive Silicon Valley at breakneck speed, starring Jay Baruchel, Glenn Howerton, and Carrie Elways. Glenn Howerton is incredible in the movie. I thought he was immaculate. Um, so it's the rise and fall of the BlackBerry. The BlackBerry being like a one of the first, like, it wasn't a smartphone, but just a multi-tool cell phone. It was one of those. I still have my BlackBerry actually. It's in a box somewhere. I think it's in I have it in a box, maybe in a closet, but I had a BlackBerry, and I actually had a BlackBerry. Coincidentally, so the premise of the movie is, the rise of BlackBerry. Blackberries were like the biggest selling cell phones. The technology was new. People were eating it up. It had the keyboard on there. It had all this kind of stuff. And then what happens is, as things go along, things just, especially in the tech world, if you've been alive for the last 25 years, the tech world has exploded and evolved so damn fast, especially with cell phones. Smartphones came along. The iPhone came along in the mid to late 2000s, and that thing killed the BlackBerry. The BlackBerry, they didn't change or adapt fast enough to keep up with the changing trends of consumers, and it just destroyed them. It absolutely destroyed them. And so that's what happened. And ironically, that's what happened with me. As I got a BlackBerry, and then my next phone after my BlackBerry was an iPhone, and I've never gone back. I've never gone back. Um, oh, speaking of which, that's what fell earlier was my phone. Uh, and that's what, and that, yeah. So it's interesting is that that's what happened with the BlackBerry. I don't think BlackBerry's been around. They tried to make their own version of the iPhone, and it was just a mess. With the touch screen and the apps and all that kind of stuff, and it just did not work. But this movie kind of shows that rise and fall, and I think it's really well acted, really well written, and really good. Um, I I wish the movie had gotten more love when it was out. I really do. So this is a 2-disc edition. It's just a Blu-ray. It's two presentations of the movie: the 120-minute theatrical cut and the limited series, a 136-minute extended presentation that aired on AMC Plus. The audio commentary with director and writer Matt Johnson and editor Kurt Laub. Audio commentary with Matt Johnson, producer, co-writer Matt Miller, executive producer / composer Jay McCarroll, associate producer, cinematographer Jared Robb, and production designer Adam Bellinger. Audio commentary with former RIM engineer Matthias Wand, the crew of Blackberry Featurette, scoring Blackberry with composer Jay McCarroll, editing Blackberry with editor Kurt Laub, cinematography with Blackberry with cinematographer Jared Robb, directing Blackberry with director Matt Johnson, locations of Blackberry Featurette, animatics of Blackberry Featurette, blooper reel, theatrical trailer, book with new writing by filmmaker Ben David Grabinski. And yeah, that's the movie Blackberry. Like I said, this thing is selling fast. It's already down to standard editions, and there's 114 standard editions left. Wow. I'm gonna wait and see if Diabolic and Orbit DVD get their allotment and see if I can snag one with a slipcover. But this is selling pretty quick. Uh, let's see. After that, I think that's it. I don't think I saw The Accidental Getaway Driver, and I don't think I saw Bad Luck Banging. So I think that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I think that's gonna do it. Some comments here. Um, let's see. some comments here. Oh, really? Oh, Acres of Movies. Let's see. I'm really glad to hear you talk about love and other catastrophes. I love it very much. You're the only person I know that knows that movie. To be honest, I hadn't heard of it until 2 days ago when these partner label announcements dropped because I had never heard of it. Let's see. Acres of Movies also says, oh, a product origin movie. You don't see those very often. Would you like to see a product origin movie for VCR or the dishwasher? VCR. VCR, because people I don't think realize how big of a thing the VCR was. This home entertainment revolution of like the 70s and 80s. I would love a whole documentary on that in general because it's so fascinating to me. It's so fascinating to me. Iggy's movie says, "Do you like Song Song Blue?" That is another great movie, one of the best of the 2020s. I talked about Song Song Blue uh, in the previous episode where I talked about the partner labels because Song Sung Blue got a release, and I really want to get that movie. That's another one where the limited edition slipcovers sold out so fast. I really really want to get because I like that movie a lot. Um, says, oh, favorite Jim Jarmusch movie. I love Jim Jarmusch so much, man. Oh, Jim Jarmusch is so cool. I just saw an interview with him the other day about something. I forgot what he was talking about. But Jim Jarmusch, it's another kind of. I have my thinking of No, I'm gonna go get my. Why am I blanking on Jim Jarmusch? Mystery Train is good. Um, what's the? Hold on, I gotta go look at my Jim Jarmusch section because I'm blanking. Okay, I'm back. Down by Law. So Down by Law is my favorite Jim Jarmusch movie. So I've got Down by Law. I have Mystery Train. I've got up. I've got Dead Man. Uh, what's interesting is I saw one of his most recent movies. Oh, I have Only Lovers Left Alive. That's also good. That's also really good. That's what I want to mention earlier. Not the movie Nadia that I talked about earlier. Only Lovers Left Alive. It reminded me a lot of Only Lovers Left Alive. Um, let's see. I don't know. There is an Oh God. Hold on. So Acres Movies asked, "Am I expecting an Oh God box set?" There was an Oh God release. There's an Oh God collection already. Talking about the movies starring George Burns, John Denver. So there's one by Shout Factory. It's an Oh God collection. It has Oh God and then Oh God Book 2 by a Blu-ray release. Came out in 2021. So that's already available. Let me check. Oh, that's a tough question. So it gives the movies ask, you are in an area where someone is carrying on, etc. You tell someone to watch a movie to calm them down. What movie do you basically tell them to watch? Uh, it's gotta be it also depends on the person. It's gotta depend on the person. Like if it's myself, you gotta go with something because you've gotten. I think we've all been in these moments where we've been super nervous, anxious, high energy, or something going on, and you need something to deflect all of that, or to get rid of all of that. To me, you got to go back to your favorites. So I can only really talk about myself in the situation. I know it's not answering the question, but I go back to my old favorites. Um, I'll be honest. Several years ago, I go. This is nuts, but I go. Um, I was in such a state several years ago that I would go. You go back to actors or actresses that you really really like a lot, not in a parasocial way, but just in the sense that their movies are really really good. For me, that's kind of why I like Paul Newman so much. I could get so wrapped up in Paul Newman and his movies that they really helped me through to difficult mental moments, if you will. Um, I remember I watched this. It's not even a movie that would do this, but I was in such an emotional state due to certain circumstances. This is a long time ago. I'm talking like 2014. So we're talking a dozen years ago. That it was a rainy night, and I bought the movie HUD. The movie HUD with Paul Newman. I had seen it before. I think I'd seen it a couple of times, but I just wanted the movie, and I was it was such a mental state that I needed something familiar to get me to feel better about myself. You know what I mean? Like how people do like retail therapy and things like that. I needed something like that. So I bought the movie HUD by Paul Newman, the Martin Ritt film, and I watched it, and the movie's so good to me that it made me feel better. It made me feel better. Um, so it all depends on the person. It really does. Um, um, Acres of Movies asked, "Do you expect Paramount to prioritize Good Burger 1 and 2 special editions now that they are making horror comedy 31 Candles for this Halloween?" Are you excited for that one? I'm not really sure about that one, but I know Good Burger has a Blu-ray release. I don't know. I don't think Good Burger 2 does. No, it does. So Good Burger and Good Burger 2 have Blu-ray releases. Now, whether they ever do special editions, I don't know. I know they did a special edition anniversary steelbook. Excuse me. Um, but yeah, I don't. So they've already done Blu-rays. I doubt they would do more. Paramount's kind of a mess right now. Um, they're a mess as a company. They're trying so hard to buy Warner Brothers. I, I don't know why they don't really have the assets to do it, and they need something to uplift them because they got really nothing else going for them, and they've been distributing, or they've been licensing a lot of their releases to a lot of different companies for the last several years, at least from what we've been covering here on Chasing Labels. Kino, Imprint, uh, other companies have been getting Paramount licenses as well. So they've been at least trying things out. But as a company, I think they're one of the next big ones that are kind of going down. I mean, I know Warner Brothers is trying to be sold now. I mean, the Warner Brothers Netflix deal is probably going to end up going through. It's just a matter of time. Um, but Paramount, I thought would be the next one to kind of fall or fold or having to merge with somebody. But they were actually already sold. They've already been sold. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Um, um, let's see. Let's see. Let me see. Is John Leguizamo underrated? I think he's properly rated. I think he's properly rated, in my opinion. And I've seen him. He's been in a lot of movies. I think he's properly rated. Um, readapt the Dogtown story. Is that like Dogtown and Z Boys? Like that the the skateboarding story? I don't. The documentary is really really good. The movie's also good too. And I don't know if you touch. something with Heath Ledger still to this day. But I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. Let's see. Dead of Night is I have no idea what the tone of it is. I mean, it's cable public access from the 90s, from 94 to 97. So I'm imagining super low budget. I'm imagining um people recording on a 1990s camcorder, which obviously the quality is not going to be great. For those of you who lived and you had like a family camcorder from the 90s, you know what I'm saying. It actually doesn't even be before camcorders, because camcorders were really like a later 90s thing. I remember my aunt had a camcorder, and it was so cool because she was like one of the first people I ever knew to have a camcorder. And because camcorders were like, you had video cameras, right? Video cameras were kind of big, and you had tape. You could put tape. You had tapes in them. It was analog. Camcorders, you had smaller tapes. You had like high eight and things like that. You can put those in there, and they were smaller and more mobile, and and all that kind of stuff. And then of course you had the digital camcorders in the 2000s when those came around. Those were really cool. And ironically, cell phones kind of made those obsolete. It's interesting how cell phones have kind of made like cameras obsolete in general. They certainly like handheld picture cameras. Cell phones have kind of made those obsolete. Digital. I remember digital cameras were a thing in the 2000s. I still have a digital camera that I bought, a Canon that I bought 2006, 7, around then. And I took it to concerts. I took it on vacations. I took it to all kinds of places. But even at the time, I had a camera phone. But at the time, the camera phones were so bad that digital cameras were still better quality. Nowadays, you can shoot 4K. You can shoot 4K video on your phones now. It's unreal what you can do. Let's see. Um, Anchors the movie says they want Ghost Face Off, combining Face Off and Scream, I guess. Speaking of which, the next Scream movie is coming out really soon. Scream 7. Um, all right. So that is it. That is it for me here. Some housekeeping things in here before I get out. And tomorrow night we potentially will be doing a live stream Criterion review of 2 Criterion titles. We will be doing The Man Who Wasn't There, which is the Coen Brothers film from 2001. Their neo noir, shot by the great Roger Deakins in glorious black and white, starring Billy Bob Thornton as well as Frances McDormand. You get a nice uh, a couple of other character actors in here as well. A couple other Coen Brothers players, plus also James Gandolfini is in here as well from Sopranos fame as well as other things. But it was nice to see him in a movie. I'll be talking about this. Stephen will be talking about 3:10 to Yuma, which is the Delmer Daves original film, not the remake from 2007 with like Christian Bale and Ben Foster. Although that is an awesome remake. That's an awesome remake. The original Delmer Daves film. That's the one we will be talking about as well. So tune in for that. Check that out. If you don't check it while it's live, and check it afterward. Yet again, you know, as Steven said, we will be doing it live tomorrow. So that will be tomorrow night. Actually, like tonight at this point, because it's already damn near 1 a.m. But also check out the other things we have going here on the channel. We've got the Unwatched Pile, which is a new episode we just did last week. Our newest episode, like I said, of Movies Down Memory Lane, where we talk about Goodfellas. Some upcoming things we have as well to look forward to. Obviously, we'll be chasing labels again in 2 weeks' time. Where will we be in 2 weeks? That will be President's Day, the 16th. Probably will be that day, that Monday, the 16th. We also have a clips channel and shorts channel that we're working on right now, where we will be that's where the shorts will be going, and that's where certain clip outs will be going on there. It's a work in progress, as everything is. We also have our movie related game show, Movie Mutations. Search for Movie Mutations. We have about, was it 4 episodes up on there so far, I think. So check that out. Yeah, check that out if you haven't already. And yeah, Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for supporting Chasing Labels in any way possible. All the support is good. We don't turn that away here. But yeah, that is it for me. So thank you all once again. And hey, keep on watching those movies because I know I will.